Did you know goldenrod makes an excellent tea?
Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday, dear Aaron.
Me.
You are a sad, strange little man, and you have my pity.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Tomic's veteran of the comic book industry for 30 years. I'm a writer, I'm an artist, and this sucks.
Tonight's episode, Blind Jeopardy.
Don't start! We haven't left yet!
Woo! Let's go!
I tried to do that the other day. Just
You gotta have one of
wasn't
those.
as funny.
You gotta have one of those Dutch energy drinks, then you just lose control. And it's just
Oh,
like
is that what it
all
was?
that sugar and caffeine, and you just
I need
explode.
something. I need something.
Hey.
Something.
It's August
Hi,
6th.
guys.
This is Aaron Live. This is Shelley Showtime. I am Aaron. We're all live all the time. Even when we're not on the air, we're live.
Sometimes liver.
more live,
liver
more lively,
than others.
more lively than others.
Yep.
You know,
What? Tell me.
I don't know if you've noticed this over 30 years of marriage, but
Probably.
I'm a fidgety person. I'm always, doing this.
Even
I'm
when he's
sitting back
sleeping,
like
he's
this. I
fidgeting.
got to do this. I'm
Seriously, he twitches all night long.
I don't know. I don't know what it is.
I don't know. Maybe.
So probably having energy drinks is not a good idea for somebody like me. Then it's
Maybe
like too
not.
much.
Hey,
fidgeting.
how about let's go? Oh my gosh.
So there's exciting things happening today.
There is?
Yeah. Koran
Where have I
Kaiser.
been?
You missed rehearsal.
Oh no. Hold on. It's bouncing out.
What are you doing?
Hold on. Well, the Apple TV thing is bouncing. It's bothering me, so I want to make it go away. Hold on. Quit.
This is stuff
There we
you
go.
do before you go on the air. Koran Kaiser Stone is going to be with us.
That's what I heard.
Character designer, animation character designer extraordinaire. He has a very interesting story to tell. And
I like stories.
and he's got a book on Fund My Comic right now.
Oh, cool.
So we want to
I like
make
that.
everybody aware of that. And but beyond that, we have I found almost exclusively all new Bigfoot videos. So we don't have to
They're
go into
never ending.
we don't have to go into the Skinwalker territory or the rake
Or that
or,
I don't even want to.
or that nude alien that ran between the cars.
That one I don't like it. I didn't like it then. I still don't like it. It scared me. I didn't.
I
Like
was like, I'm still surprised at your reaction to that. It was funny, but I was
it.
like,
Well, I wasn't
you're
looking. I don't know. Just bleh.
it was the alien danglers what shocked you, I think.
It was shocking and appalling.
It was. So welcome everybody. Thanks for joining us. You're of course watching Aaron Live, and let's see actually who is here watching. Kevin Thomas is here.
Hey, Cat.
MPC Oasis, Squibs.
Good peoples.
That's right. Bill Maxwell's here.
Bill.
Okay, now we've got a problem. We're just starting and we've got a problem.
Oh.
Geek Avenger sent me a comic book for the spinner rack.
Oh, that was nice.
Was it?
Oh no.
Let's take a look.
Uh-oh.
Let's take a look. And
What'd you do? Geek,
what could
did
it
you
be?
do?
What could it? Oh!
No. Oh my gosh, that is so funny.
Is it? Is that what you think it
Is
is?
it funny?
Is that what you think it's funny?
I think it's funny.
Because I don't think it's funny. I think this. Normally you would thank someone for giving you a gift and reaching out to you.
Many thanks.
Now,
You're just not quite sure how to handle it.
I can't destroy the book in rage because I don't do that to comics.
No,
I don't do that.
You don't burn them.
And plus, it has Garcia Lopez artwork in it. No, I don't. So it's really well drawn. It's just a terrible comic book, and yet now I have to put it in my spinner rack, thanks to Geek Avenger.
What
and probably, I'm guessing Squeaky might have been in on this as well. So
double.
That's right. All in the family. Keep it all in the family.
Oh, funny.
So anyway, there you go.
There you go.
Atari Force.
There you have it.
Going in the rack. In fact.
Oh, he's going to do it.
Let's do it live, shall we?
Keep it in the bag. Keep it protected.
Oh, no. No. We don't do that.
I'll bag it later.
This is the
spinner rack of love.
So, should I put it in front of Simonson's Thor? No. I couldn't do that. What about the classic Not Brand Deck by Marie Severin? No, I couldn't do that. Oh, Bane? Certainly not. Maybe John Carter? No.
Gosh, that's a problem where to put it. I tell him where to put it.
Oh, Wrightson House of Mystery? No. Hubert, Adam and the Hawkman?
You're just having troubles. So you put it at the very top rack. I see.
Yeah, I'm going to put it right in my Joe Frankenstein. Right there. There we go.
There you have it.
Thank you, Geek. Thanks for nothing. But I appreciate the thought. Actually, I can't even say that. I don't know what devious intent. This is the same guy. He sent me an Atari T-shirt as well as a Uranus T-shirt, which I was okay with the Uranus T-shirt.
Yeah, those were good.
But the Atari Force T-shirt, now an Atari Force comic book. Oh, the madness end. All right. Well, I had to get that out of the way.
Okay. All right. So where are we at? We got Citizen Ronan. We got Stippling Vaughn.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we do.
Timmy Mellow. He's very mellow yellow.
Mellow yellow.
Quite right. I like them whispered in the background.
Yeah.
Ruby J. 90 is here.
Yay.
Marcus Killigrew, the pop culture brainiac.
Oh, so he was at the Charlotte Comic Con.
How about that?
Andy and Dennis.
Marcus seems to be someone who's everywhere and knows all. It's very terrifying.
Terrifying.
Sharks 9 from Canada. Brian Suddenly Old is here.
Hey, Brian.
Leg Kick is here because Leg Kick, of course, is almost always here. Christina Lynn.
Hey, Christina.
Lynn, you better clean up your glasses because you're going to be getting stuff very, very soon. Actually, I was doing.
Got done with balloon placement.
Well, I'm not quite done because I'm balloon placing Garbage Man.
Yeah, where'd he go?
Well, here's the interesting thing. I was looking at the script, looking at the art, saying where are we going to put the balloons, right? And then I realized what I had drawn didn't match the script that I wrote.
Someone went off on a tangent.
And I was like, when did that happen? So I'm having to rewrite the script based on what I drew, which is apparently not what I originally wrote.
And you were the only one involved in it.
I know. So it's
scary.
very confusing to me.
What were you?
I don't know.
Shelley.
Well, I extended the.
Hi, sis.
Don't mind me. I'm looking for something.
We're not doing a show or anything. So, give me those back.
No.
Samantha, those are. Those are. Then, oh my.
So she took the.
She took our snacks.
My hair clip in here.
Oh my gosh. Will you?
Oh look, honey.
You know what? Good night, everybody. Thank you for joining us. It was great fun. Give me that back.
Where's my hair?
I don't know. Get out of here. All right. So anyway,
I don't know where she gets it.
what I found out was that I had extended the fight scene in it, and I had taken bits from some of the pages before that and prior to that and sort of intermingled them in with this extended fight scene that I added. And
I forgot you added?
Well, no, I didn't forget I added, but I forgot that I did not apparently update the script to go along with the new pages that I put in. So I'm,
rookie.
Yeah, exactly. But I will have that done today, and that's going over to my letterer today.
It's getting close, folks.
So when those get back, then of course I'll be shipping those over to my proofreader, Christina Lynn, who's in the chat right now, so she can proofread them. and then we'll just move on from there. Kelsey is supposed to be getting me the last couple pages to
Colors
Nightclub.
look really good.
Yeah, they look nice. And then that I'll be doing the same thing with that. And I know I didn't mess around with the script on that. And Wraith of God's been done, but I just have not done the word balloon stuff on it yet because I'm trying to finish Kit Carter, which I only have.
How many?
Well, two and a half pages to go.
Wow.
And then we'll be done.
Nice.
Then it'll all be Aaron the editor.
Would it ever end?
Yeah. And here we are. But yeah, so then I go into editorial mode for the next 6 weeks.
Oh, great. You are just so much fun to live with when you're in editorial mode. It's just so editorial.
I don't even know what that means.
I don't either. All right, Tarks is here.
Well,
Tarks
I
line.
said that.
Oh, did you?
See,
So I said it again.
Prater 7? Are we racing to see who's going to say? Mr. Chemo.
John Port's here.
John Port. Oh, you already got John Port. You just smoked me on that one. Eric
and
Boyd.
Randy Hill, all the way
This
from
is
Canada.
interesting. Energy drinks are not good for old people. Just saying. I think I'm
No.
finding that out.
Yeah.
Randy Howell, all the way from Canada. He's saying hail to the Twitchy one. That's me. I'm
Seriously.
perpetual motion.
He shakes the bed all night because he's twitching. And then, should I get really personal? Then, like the sheets where his feet are, they're always like thrashed.
Amanda wants to know, hey, Shelley, did you see my Twitter post with the t-shirt?
I don't think so. Look, though.
Where's he going to look? We got a screen open right there.
That's your Twitter.
What does it matter? It's all Twitter.
It's all X.
Hey, there's Phil Diaz.
Hey,
He's in there.
Phil.
Thanks for joining. Twirly Wolf's here. Everybody loves Twirly Wolf.
Oh, always.
Yeah, there's Wayne, not little Wayne, just Wayne. Christina Lynn is hand clapping. She's ready to do some proofreading. She's very excited. Geek Avengers thinks it's funny that he sent me Atari Force. I don't think it is. Oh, Sequential Treasures is here.
Yay.
That can go good with the Atari Force 5 I sent you a while back. I had thanks, James. I blocked it out of my
memory?
Now it's back.
Oh,
what do they call it? PTSD or yeah. So now it's coming back. Murdoch's here.
Murdoch.
Yeah, Murdoch.
Where? A new one. Where?
Murdoch. Hey, folks.
Oh.
See these right there?
Yeah.
I can prove it.
Okay, my phone's just not.
Thanks for joining us, Murdoch. Daniel Russell is here.
Amanda, DM me or something.
If you draw a dart from Atari Forces, I suspect the terrorizing will stop, Aaron. No,
it'll just get worse.
No, yeah, I'm
It's
just
never
opening
enough.
the door. I'm opening the door at that point, so we're not doing that. Michael Dietz, I saw Donovan open for some concert I went to see. Mellow Yellow was fun live. Donovan, was that Donovan that sang that? They call me Mellow Yellow.
You're asking the wrong person.
Quite right. Yeah, MC.
I don't know.
Is here, not MC Hammer. I don't think it's MC Hammer. I think it's just MC. Mr. Monkey Boy, 1969. Comic Hinterlands. He says, hail the Presti clan. Sorry I'm late.
It's all right.
We're sorry too, but we have forgiven you. Holder 6480 is here. Santiago Peligros. You need a good summer wine and some Danish butter cookies.
Ooh, I could do that.
Citizen Ronan says,
No
Aaron,
red wine though. It give me a horrible headache.
Aaron's dreaming he's running like Buster. I don't get it.
Is that a dog?
I don't know.
Well, sounds like
There's
one that
Buster
was running
Brown.
in
He's
their
got
sleep.
shoes. I don't know.
What was the dog on Little Rascals?
I don't know, but he had the circle on his eye.
Yeah.
He ate himself to death. That's why you can't trust dogs around food. They will literally eat themselves to death. That's a tragic story.
It is.
Melvin Cruz is here. Comic Hinterland says Donovan must be about 100 years old these days. I would think he's not young. Anyway, thank you all for joining us today because
we appreciate it.
We couldn't do this fantastic show. I'm sorry, we couldn't do this show without your help.
Wow, you got a little big there in your britches.
I sure did.
Fantastic.
And we would really appreciate it if you hit the like
show.
and subscribe and ring the bell for notifications and all that good stuff.
My hay fever is
no.
You don't really have.
You know, I used to have hay fever super bad when I was a little kid, all the way up until I moved to LA when I went to school down there for 3.5 years. And then when I came back, I didn't have allergies anymore. Could it have been that I just was
I can
it
take
a
Benadryl every
coincidence?
night and Allegra every night, and I don't know what the deal is.
Does prolonged exposure to pollution like kill
Perhaps.
your
Body?
receptors
Mhm.
to the point that they just, you're not allergic to anything anymore?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Somebody
do-
probably does.
I do
though.
know this.
What? Rawr.
Oh my gosh, I totally fell asleep on that. I was actually reading the message. Wow. Let me try that again. So that never happened.
Rawr.
So
Yeah.
let's take a
This
moment
is-
for this public service.
this is what I do
announcement,
know.
shall we? Yeah. Just missed it. My
So
timing's
close.
off.
We're still off today.
That's just not good.
Did you sleep last night?
No, I had another. I was up to see. Maybe it is the energy
You were
drinks.
up late
I was up till 2 a.m.
because I was up and down, up and down, up and down, and I was like, he's still.
I wanted to get those word balloon placements done, but then when I realized I had to rewrite the script, I was like, I'm not rewriting the script
No.
at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Ooh,
so I didn't.
quercetin. You take that.
I do. I take quercetin every
That's
day.
it. I think he's telling me for my allergies.
Well, I started taking that. I took that. Started taking
Quit
that.
pointing at me.
Shit-a-bah. I started taking it a long time ago for like,
For
You
the
know,
naturopath.
yeah,
Did
for
you?
your stomach,
Mhm.
for like, so you don't have to take antacids and stuff. And then it became, it's like part of the regimen that you take to avoid COVID.
COVID.
So I was,
Yeah.
still on it from that. So, there you go. But
So I think this is funny. No.
no, that's the problem, citizen.
Don't,
I
we
keep trying to
should.
tell you, she never comes to rehearsal.
There.
Never.
I'm sleeping, man.
I am lucky she's here at all.
It's true. An hour ago, I was
all
finally
right.
brushing my hair. Okay.
Okay, now this eating a 99% protein diet with no white flour or soy cures most allergy problems in a few months. Now, Jordan Peterson,
Yes.
you all know who Jordan Peterson is. I read someplace, I haven't looked into this, but I desperately want to because it sounds fascinating. He's on an all meat diet.
I know. You told me.
That's all he eats is meat. He doesn't eat anything else, apparently.
Couldn't do it.
Meat and water. That sounds like a good prison
But
diet.
your body can only process so much per meal. So
I don't know.
so much protein per meal. So I don't know.
Well, there must be
I
some
just think
sort
there
of
needs to be a
regulation to
balance,
it.
some moderation,
I don't know.
some, and something too that you could do long term. That's the thing they say. Like if you lose weight doing a specific thing, you have to do that specific thing to keep the weight off. And a lot of them are just not.
I don't understand what you're talking about at all.
Me?
Yeah.
Or oh, okay.
Okay.
Well, that's okay.
Didn't- isn't
Sometimes
what
when
you-
my mouth is moving to him, it's just.
It's Charlie Brown. It's Charlie Brown. No, didn't the cavemen just eat meat? I don't know. In vegetable gardens, I have no idea. Were there actually cavemen? I don't even know that either.
I don't know.
But closing tonight, Clint Holinsky's The Superiors. So you guys want to get over there and check that out? I assume it's on Indiegogo.
Nice. Holy cow.
Let's see this. Repairman Jack says, "Ahoy, Lopressis! Can't believe I missed the beginning." The Lopez's.
Lopez's.
So R.H. Snows. Hugs for
Hey,
Shelley.
girl. Oh, your life has just been crazy, but then full of blessings. So that's amazing.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I
horrible.
was keeping track of that. And it sounds like everything is doing much better though now. So
Yeah, that's good.
that's great news. Mike TV Dub says Shelley, the literal Charlie Brown teacher.
Yep.
She is literally the Charlie Brown teacher.
Ask all my
Yeah.
students over the years. What do you remember the most? Wah, wah, and I throw things. Other than that.
Murdoch says I'm going back on keto. High
Mm.
fat and protein, low carbs. Last time I did it, I lost 80 pounds in 6 months.
Did you keep it off? That's the thing.
That's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the thing.
Oh, wait a minute. Sir Adros says, yes, all meat works.
Mhm.
Plus you get lean and sexy.
Well,
am I too old for sexy?
I think we've missed that boat.
Has that boat sailed on us?
Boat
We
is
might get
gone.
lean, but I don't know if the sexy is going to return. Okay, now we're into the whole diet
Oh,
show.
yeah.
I've been doing the meat, eggs, cheese diet for 2 years. I had terrible allergy and asthma problems my entire life. After going on the meat and eggs diet, I've never felt better.
Oh, nice.
A lot of people are saying that.
Mm-hmm.
Eat meat. Doggone it.
Wow, it's bumper sticker.
I know.
Murdoch, that's funny. Nope, I'm an idiot.
Assistant Ronan. The best thing you can do to lose weight and help your overall health is lift weights.
Yes.
Except, let me try that again. The other thing you can do is lift weights until you destroy your shoulders, which I did.
Well, yeah, but we're not going to lift heavy like we used to.
Well, no. Well, see, what I was doing was I was taking these workouts from Muscle and Fitness magazine.
Yeah.
and those guys were all on roids, and I wasn't. So I was working out too frequently and just blew myself up.
Gosh, when we met, that's all we did was go work out.
Mm-hmm. It's good old days.
Oh yeah.
Now all I do is think about working out, and I get
And then
sore.
I go take a nap.
I know. It's like,
Well,
wow.
that
Woo!
because it's exhausting even just
Exhausted
thinking about
myself
it.
working
Yep.
on this. But you know what helps, Shelley?
Snacks.
Yep.
Snack it.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Oh, well, let's go.
Oh, here we are. What you got?
These are, I want you guys, this is amazing
Yesterday.
because this is, these are made out, they don't look like it, but these are, you want one? These are all meat.
Yes.
These are 100% all meat.
meats.
These are,
I've made these once, but I had something else in them as well. Do you remember?
they're brownie and chocolate chip cookies
I
combined.
made these, but there was another component.
Meat.
Bacon. No, I don't.
Mm.
I don't remember.
I can feel the meat energy flowing. Mm.
Oh nauseous. It's just like my constant state right now. I don't know why.
Too much sugar. You got to eat more meat.
Well, I just need a new neck. Other than that, I'll be fine.
Well, that'll help too.
So let's see what else is going on. What else you got? How was your week? Went fast.
It did. I'm getting a lot of work done. Like I said, I've got only 2 more pages of Kit Carter to do after I finish inking this one, which I'm almost done with.
Nice.
And so you guys, we are super close to being able to bring Wraith of God right to your doorstep.
Okay, now we won't bring it, but we will actually pay.
The
Well,
postman.
You actually will pay.
Yeah,
We'll wrap it up and then
yeah,
send it to you.
right.
But yeah.
And please, if you don't receive your copy within a reasonable
Oh
amount
my
of time,
gosh. Yes, tell this.
please let me know.
Tell this story.
Well,
I got a kind of an angry email. Somebody, I've
Well, I
not
don't
got
know
my
if
book. I want a refund. Well, probably more frustrated. It's hard to tell on emails, you know.
it hasn't
But-
got back to me, but yeah, it was
Yeah.
from a year ago. It says I still haven't received my book, and I'm like, well, dude, let me know.
Right.
Don't let a year go by and say, where's my book? You suck. Go, hey, you're supposed to ship this out 3 months ago. Where is it? Then I can say, well, I'll send you out a new one. In this case, I checked the mailing records,
Mhm.
and they don't maintain those records forever. So you can't go in there and say, oh, it was delivered on this date, but it does show that we did ship it.
Mhm.
So it was shipped, but for some reason never got to this gentleman. And then he's very frustrated a year later, and I would be too. But you guys don't sit around. And I know a lot of guys, you back stuff and you can't even remember what you
Oh
backed.
yeah, totally.
You know, like
That's
6
me
months
even.
later, you're going, did I
Yeah.
ever get that? Did I back that? Did I ever get this? So if you don't have, from any of my previous campaigns, if you did not ever receive your book, and it's more likely this would happen to an international
Mhm.
buyer, because I still have like 3 or 4 books that got returned from the original campaign that are international people, and I've reached out, I've sent emails, and I've had no response.
Mhm.
So I don't know what to do except sit here and wait till
So they
someone
get mad
angrily
and then-
emails me and goes, where's my book? It's a year late. And I'm like, well, you know. So anyway, be active participants and help us help you is what I'm trying to say. But
Mhm.
Shelley, we're at 146,604 right now in this campaign, and we need to get this to at least 152 so I can tie what I did on the original Wraith
Oh,
of
for
God.
sure.
And it is frustrating because we are shadow banned, as a lot of people
Yeah.
are in Comicsgate. But this was tracking to do about 175, and I think we probably would have hit 175 if we hadn't got shadow banned. But so now my target goal is just to at least, you know, do what we did on the last campaign, and we're knocking on the door. So,
Mhm.
and I will be posting some more art, some Kit Carter stuff. I'll show it later in the show, and as we get ready to go into the next campaign, which will be the Kit Carter graphic novel. So, but one thing at a time. We'll finish this out strong and go from there. But you'll find the link in the description of this video to back this campaign if you would like. So there you go. We just wanted to do that real quick.
That was delicioso.
And we'll stop this and eat some more protein. But also,
Yes, IGG is misbehaving.
let's take a look at our Wrightson image of the day, shall we? Oh, wait a minute.
How long do we have till we close? That's a good question.
That is an excellent question. There's a few things I don't have control over. What I have control over is the stuff I'm supposed to pencil and ink. Then when I start shipping it out to the letterer and proofreader, Christina, and then
Well,
perhaps
biggest
back
issue
to the
is
letter.
usually with the printer.
Right. And then I've got the book to get assembled. Usually that goes fairly quickly, but then it comes down to how soon does the printer able to turn the job around? Is it 2 weeks? Is it 6 weeks? I don't know until I actually get right to the doorstep and say, here it is.
Right.
And then they say, okay, we'll be able to get this back to you in a month or 2 weeks, whatever. But I will be closing it when I send it to the printer. So I'm guessing probably it won't be open any longer than the second week of September, because I want to launch Kit Carter by the end of September is my goal. So we want to have this closed out and at the printers before we start worrying about the next one. So there you have it.
This dog. Can you guys hear him?
My daughter has friends coming over, and then he must let us know that until they leave. That
I know somebody was coming by to pick something up, and they were like, "Do you want me to let you know when I'm there?" And I go, "No, the dog will let us know when you're
That's
here.
right.
It's okay."
he sings your praises every time you get close to the house. But anyway, speaking of singing praises, let's take a look at our Bernie Wrightson image of the day. This is, by the way, Shelley, this is image number 96. You know what happens when
Wow.
we hit 100?
Nothing.
No, actually, something does. It's going to be the Wrightson anniversary show.
Oh.
Close the door, but don't close the door.
I'm not leaving.
Okay.
Thank you.
Have fun. Bye. Be
Just
safe. Make good
family
choices.
stuff, you know.
Drive fast. Take
We do
chances.
say it's a family show.
Yeah.
So we have family members in there. So this will drown out the dog for about 30 seconds. Here's our Wrightson
Awesome.
image of the day, number 96.
He's still going.
I kind of feel like Dracula. I should say, the children of the night, because it.
I was just gonna be like, I'll be right back.
Okay, here's the interesting thing about that, Shelley.
Yeah, tell me more.
I'm going to tell you more.
Husker.
She's gonna go yell at the dog. I'll tell you more. So, as you know,
Sorry, I had to.
Or many of you may know.
Teacher voice.
maybe you don't know. Wrightson, Jeff Jones, Barry Smith, Mike Kaluta, they were all in a studio together in the 70s, but this
Mhm.
but they were all, at least some of them were friends prior to that.
Mhm.
So, and Jeff Jones and Bernie Wrightson were, of course, friends prior to that.
Kill him.
I'm going to kill the dog. I'm going to
Kill
kill him.
him.
So we're talking about 1968, 69. Jeffrey Jones was like an incredibly popular book cover artist, painter.
Yeah.
And he was so busy and in demand at this period of time that he was getting paperback cover assignments like every week to 10 days. So he's getting a little backed up. And I don't mean that in the physiological sense. I meant that, in the work sense. And so he had Wrightson offered to, hey, I'll do some layouts for you for some of these covers to help you save some time. So I think Wrightson did like 5 or 6 of these, or 8 to 10, and Jeffrey Jones ended up using 5 or 6 of them, or something like that. And this is one of them. And it was for the book, Darker Than You Think was the, Darker Than You Think was the name of the book. And so Wrightson did the pencil drawing, and then Jeff Jones would go ahead and turn it into a painting.
That's why it was so softy.
Yeah. And the interesting thing about that is the final book cover, Wrightson's not known for drawing particularly pretty women or good women. This I thought was a pretty good drawing of a woman.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff Jones totally screwed it up. He made the lion better, that she was sitting on the back of that lion. The lion looks better, but the girl
Which
looks
might
worse.
please some people.
Right.
However, yeah.
Just my opinion.
Ooh,
There you go.
there you have it.
So Colace works well. So I knew that was coming.
His bark is worse than his. Oh,
It's
and
true.
I
He barks like crazy. He doesn't bite though.
No, I just recently bought a bark collar.
Call PETA.
So I think that Sammy will be upset with me if we do it while she's here. So I'm just gonna wait till she goes back to school at the end of the month, and then. But you can set it to different tolerance levels. So like, I mean, he has some barks where it's like with me, if he wants to play, he'll growl at me.
Well, that's not barking.
But I mean, like, if there's a noise tolerance level, whatever, or one of his faces, mama. I don't want to shock him from that. So, anyway,
That's why I get a cattle prod.
Who let the dog out? Seriously. Oh, cute.
My dog walks in circles in his swimming pool and barks at the water.
Oh my gosh.
F in the chat says, I'm looking forward to a Kit Carter book.
Hounds. Okay, here we go. Oops, sorry. Tums are
Aaron, Tums are chewy. You gum them down. Okay. Thank you for that.
Oh, good question.
You're referring to these, of course.
I was going to ask this too, because you finished it. Did you finish it using?
Yes, I did not.
You did.
I did not shirk away from saying, you know what? I started this thing. I'm going to finish this thing. Where is it? Here we go. So I did some work on it.
How many times did you go back?
Twice.
Yep.
It turned out okay, I think. I kind of like it now. But I had to go back and added some orange in here. I wanted to get more color. People were making fun of me for saying it was Megatron because he was purple. And
well, was it Leg Kick that asked if it was Barney?
Well, I don't listen to anything
it
Leg
was.
Kick says. You
Oh,
should
I
know
see.
that by now. But so anyway, yeah. So there it is. That's with the cheapo 649 watercolors. And actually fairly happy with how it turned out. So there you go. It's my little show and tell.
There
It's
you
not
have
the
it.
only show and tell I'm going to do today, but that is...
Ooh, what else is he going to show us?
really
Okay,
quick.
so here we go. $2.
Thank you. Leg Kick for $2. Thank you so much. Favorite character to draw in Blood Hunters?
Wraith. No,
That's too easy, isn't it, to say that?
I don't know. God, think about it. He hasn't drawn it in a while.
Well, there's either Esther, there's Wraith, and then there's when
Vampire
Wraith.
Chicks.
There's the Vampire Chicks were a good fun. I don't know that I have a favorite Vampire Chick.
What's
though.
been your favorite moment
good
in this
question.
book? The whole thing.
I'll tell you in 2 days when I'm finished.
Ooh, okay.
I really enjoyed the Garbage Man story immensely. It's really fun. It's fun as a monster story can be. It's very Wrightson-y, kind of throwback, and Dan Lawless did the colors on it. And he's done with the coloring, by the way. And it's very Wrightson-y the way he colored it. Looks like a Wrightson watercolor painting from the day. It's very cool. So that was a lot of fun. I have Garbage Man. I have a soft spot in my heart for Garbage Man, and it's an excellent question.
Ooh,
We get
something-
to, well, you get the first appearance, the first official appearance of Eon Chance, which is kind of an important character. We get the first printed appearance of Kit Carter, at least in a story. She's been on the cover of sketchbooks and prints and stuff, but I've never done a story with her before. There's a lot of good stuff in this. I don't know that I have a favorite character to draw in there, but I do have a favorite parts of the story. And my favorite part of the story is right at the end when...
Wait.
Actually, I did like the
wanna
end of the
address-
story.
I'm thinking on the whole collar thing, it has a vibration mode that I would try. I don't want to do the part. Yeah. Or I don't like those pinch one. I don't know. Sometimes he does okay, like during the day.
He's a spaz.
Like Sammy, like today was like, he is so wound up, but he's so cute. It's hard.
Yes. He has a
Yeah.
mustache. It's very 70s looking.
Let's see. Right, they're supposed to bark, and he's that breed. He's a miniature schnauzer. If you haven't seen him, they're like the sentry dog. Hi, baby. We're talking about you. So yeah, it's tough because, man, especially when it gets going and just, I have to go up to the window. I'll say, show me. So we go to the window and I go, you want Mama to look? Okay. And then I have to go, it's okay. They live there. They can be in their driveway. It's okay. They live there. They're okay. Because he just barks at everybody. Neighbors. Ugh.
Mo Fantasy just chimed
Mo.
in. Thanks for joining us. And there's Dan, the Pizza Man Genovese, shown up.
Hey.
Excellent. So we're waiting on Koran Kizer Stone to join us. It's his sister's birthday. So
that's nice of him to.
Hold him. He's going to have to stay down
He's
here.
going to have to.
So he may be a few minutes late, but Daniel Russell said $111 confirmed. He knows the price. He already called me about it.
Oh.
So
Yes, pets are like having kids again.
I know. It's like
And you talk to them.
it's like
say,
having
"What
a
do you do to your
toddler
kids?"
all the time.
Oh yeah.
And they never grow up. So
yeah.
But that's kind of you got to know what you're getting in
Baby.
for. And he's a barker. He is a barker.
I think I'm just gonna get him some weed.
Get him some weed to mellow him out. It's like
Get
some
him
chewables
CBD stuff.
for the
Yeah.
just
Sure.
mellow him out.
Well, there's a
Robert Doan pills are in the house for backaches and keeping your dog calm.
Oh,
You need to chill out, man.
tell
See,
everybody.
now he wants to be
Why
on the
is that?
show. Now he wants to be on the show.
Where's Oscar?
All right.
Yeah, I'm gonna get. There's a dog sanctuary up around here called the Asher House, and he has a line of CBD for dogs and for humans. But they're going through there's some virus going around right now. Like all the vets in the area are the ICUs are full. They lost one. He actually ordered
Like
3
a virus for dogs going around?
3 oxygen chambers just for the sanctuary because they never asked for money. And there was he had a YouTube video out where he was asking for donations because he said the vets, there's no room in any of the vets around here. And he goes for 100-mile radius around. And so he had to buy oxygen
Is that true?
stuff for the house. He said the dogs would be fine. And then they said it's some pneumonia and yeah, they're just dying super, super sick. So here are your baby dogs. There you go.
That's
so if
right.
anybody has, that in their heart, it's called the Asher House. There you have it.
Green Laser says, give him a spoonful of peanut butter on the roof of his mouth. He'll try to lick it off for a while and not bark. Yeah, but then he'll lick it off eventually, and then the barking will continue. So
He'll be like, So you love it when you do that.
Okay, so as we wait for
Perfect.
perfect timing,
Perfection.
we're stalling for him, and he
I was
finally
getting ready
rolls
to
in.
get up and dance, which then we're desperate. Yeah.
Okay, so we do have some other features we want to do, but we'll work them in.
Did you
Throughout the
do a
conversation.
Shelley Nose?
No, we didn't do Shelley Knows today. You're off the hook today. But
Phew.
next week when we don't have a guest,
You're gonna. Do
you're not
double.
off the hook.
Oh man.
So
better start studying now.
that's exactly right. But everybody, welcome a fantastic talent in the field of animation,
Major
and,
talent.
character design.
Ouch.
His friends call him Kaiser, so I get to call
So
him
what do you get
Kaiser.
to call him?
No,
Oh, she's a mean
Koran
one.
Kaiser Stone. Welcome him. There he is. Hey, man.
Hey, how are you? How are you doing?
Good.
Oh, we're just perfect.
How'd the birthday go? And he leaves. Oh, thanks for-
Oh,
I thought you were getting up to leave. I was like, you just got here.
yeah, it's time to get out of here, guys. I'm sorry.
Nice to see you. I'm out.
Well, pretty good. We just took my sister out for dinner, and we're not really a birthday party get together for birthdays type of family. We usually do that randomly sometimes. So, but yeah, it was fun. It was a good time.
Nice.
Good.
Yeah.
I know
We take the dog.
we had you on Graybeards about a month ago,
Yeah.
and you told a little bit about your story. And I know that you were just on Andy's show not too long ago.
Nice.
In fact, it was during Graybeards, I think. You got to get your priorities straight, man. But anyway, so just for those of us who don't know, because I find your story about how you ended up in, doing design work and stuff in animation. You were a security cop at the on the docks in New Jersey, someplace. Tell us the story, will you?
Yeah, pretty much. For about 4 or 5 years, I was a security officer over at Port Newark over in at the docks, Mars Terminal.
Mhm.
And I used to when the ships came in, huge car vessels. I would make sure that no stowaways got on board or got off board and all that stuff. No one stole the expensive cars that were coming in, like the BMWs and the Lexuses and all that. So it was a pretty important job, but I didn't like it. I wasn't really a fan of it. I just kind of did it because it paid well, I guess, in the beginning. It was like $25 when you first started off as per hour. But what I would do, I would bring like Xerox paper to work with me, like 8.5 by 11 Xerox paper, and I would put it in my booth. I had my little black and white television where I would watch my Columbos and stuff, right? Because I'm a big fan of Columbo, Twilight Zones, all that stuff. And I would draw pictures when I wasn't on patrol, and then I would go home after work, scan those drawings in, color them up in Photoshop, and then after I finished, I would submit them on to like DeviantArt or whatever other platform on the internet. After a while, Warner Brothers and a couple of other studios, they noticed, and then they called me up and asked me if I was interested in working for them. Like I said before, I was very I didn't believe that you could work in the animation industry, especially if you didn't go to school. I thought you needed to go to school, for art in order to work professionally as an artist. But turns out you just have to be really good at it.
Yeah, that helps.
And then also,
how old were you during this period of time when you were discovered? How old were you?
I was 28 years old.
It's about how old I was.
Yeah.
So you obviously had to be interested in art growing up, right?
Oh yeah. I was very much inspired by anything art related. My father he's a playwright.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he also drew portraits. He did oil paintings and gouache. He worked with gouache and watercolor and all that stuff. So, and he was also a great singer. So I kind of grew up, sort of absorbing all that stuff.
Yeah, very creative environment. Okay, but the thing is, did you just think, well, you didn't know how to get into the industry? I mean, were you like, say you graduate high school, right? And you're into art. Were you thinking, okay, how do I get in at Disney? Or were you thinking, oh, this one's never going to work for me. I'm just going to get a job and I'll keep drawing and maybe someday I'll get lucky. I mean, what was your, as a younger person, I mean, like for myself, when I discovered comics at age 12 or 13, I was immediately, I'm going to be a comic book artist someday. And I got waylaid a little bit going to film school, but then I got, back on track and doing the comic stuff. But it was I always had like this plan.
Yeah.
What were you thinking, coming out of high school or whatever? What did you have a plan for art, or was it something you thought wasn't realistic to pursue?
It was more of like, I love art and I'm just going to do it because I love it type thing. I wasn't even really, I had this idea that maybe you need to go to a university or something in order to get a great job at one of the studios, but it was just something I did because I really loved it. And it was purely because of the fact that I could create, come up with all these stories that was in my head, so I wouldn't go crazy and put them on paper or whatever canvas I could, right? And so that was pretty much it. It wasn't really trying to pursue, a job or career in animation or comic books or anything like that. I drew a lot of superhero characters, but my aspirations was never to be a comic book artist, a sequential artist, which for a lot of my friends was weird because it's like here you are, you're drawing like you could do sequentials and you usually like you should be doing covers and all this stuff. You digital color, superheroes all the time. It's like, but I have my idea was like, what if this happened with Superman or Batman, and that's what I would do. I would draw those drawings up, based on sort of an idea, a creative idea that was in my head, and that's the reason why I drew so many of those characters. Plus, I love superheroes. Ever since I was a kid. Yeah.
Were you a comic book reader growing up, or were you more of a just watching animated shows and things like that?
I was definitely a comic book reader, but I was mostly getting comic books to look at the pictures because the artist of comic books to me was just as good as any Renaissance artist.
Yeah, when I was growing up, I we all went to this neighborhood. We all sort of collected for a while, and you go as a kid, you go through these fads, right? Skateboards for a while, and it's model building or whatever in comics, and I was the only one that stuck with comics. Everybody was into it for a couple of years, and they would grow out of it and move on to other things. But I stayed with it, and I figured the only reason I probably did was because I was an artist myself, and I just was in love with the art form and infatuated with this sort of visual language and storytelling, because as Shelley will tell you, I tell stories whether I need to or not. So it's sort of I couldn't avoid it. But so you didn't go to college. You went out into the workforce and you just kept drawing without any sort of necessarily
deal with the dog. Sorry.
Shelley's on dog patrol. And then I don't want to say you fell into it, but because obviously you were posting stuff on DeviantArt with a purpose in mind, right? Getting discovered, right?
Sort of, kind of, I guess. I said, well, if it happens, it happens, I guess. Every now and again I would get, sorry about that, loud cars.
You got cars, I got dogs. It's
I was like, every now and again I would get like freelance work, or commissions, but my idea of working in-house full-time, at a studio was like, that was non-existent. I didn't even have that thought in my head, So when I got the call from the producer at Warner Brothers, and they were interested in having me work full-time for them, I was like, okay, I guess that sounds good. Yeah. But and then of course they told me how much I was supposed to be getting paid. I was like, yeah, sure, I get that anyways. I wasn't getting paid any of that, not even close. What was the surprise is that they put me on conference call, and at the conference table over at Warner Brothers, Joaquin DeSantos, right, the guy who directed the newest Spider-Man with Miles Morales movie, Lauren Montgomery, who was extraordinary director for tons of television shows. I think she's doing some movies now or whatever. And then Sam Liu, who's an exceptional. I've been a fan of Sam Liu for a long time when he did some comics or whatever. And so I just and Phil Barassa, he was also on the call. Who's the lead character designer for Vox Machina. He's also lead character designer on Young Justice from back in the day, and he did a whole bunch of other stuff after that. So they were like, "Hey, you want to come work for us?" And I was like, after I started believing it. 2 days later, I moved to California, and I had been working in animation ever since.
Now, how long were you able? I mean, you're back in New Jersey now, right?
Yeah.
Or you're still in LA? No, you're in New Jersey, right?
Yeah, for about 2 years because of my family. All my family's here. So.
Well, so you got to a point, obviously, working for them that you didn't have to be there, that you could go and just work digitally.
Yeah, after also COVID.
They
were like, everybody get away from everybody and go home.
Everybody get out of here and leave.
Yeah.
Don't contaminate us.
Yeah, we don't want you close to us, so we're gonna have to leave. Let you. So that's what we pretty much did. When I was working for Sony, they asked us to go over there to go home and work from home.
So, are you finding any difference in the amount of work you're getting? Are you freelancing now, or are you still like?
Yeah, I realized that, like after Sony, I realized that I guess I had gotten enough clout, or whatever you want to call it, on the internet to where people on Instagram, I mean, not on Instagram, but LinkedIn would hit me up every single day, like multiple people, and just offer me jobs. And I was like, wait, I could probably just go anywhere and work remotely from, for these places, for these studios. I mean, big studios, smaller studios. So that's what I do now. Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I was telling my friends. They at the time thought, well, get off of DeviantArt. You're spending way too much time on DeviantArt and posting stuff. I was like, this is going to, later on when there's no jobs, it's going to help out. So I would highly recommend you posting at least even a colored sketch up on DeviantArt, right?
Well, that's the thing, which it's such a different landscape. I was actually talking to Andy Smith. We were talking behind your back the other day after you did the show, and talking about how the landscape has changed from like when I broke in, where it was like we were mailing, submissions, or we'd have to go to convention to show our work. Now you've got guys, and I saw this as much as, maybe 15 years ago, where editors were starting to scour the internet looking for artists that post stuff and finding art and talent that way, which made it really easy for them because they didn't have to exert any effort really. And then they could only contact the people they were actually interested in, rather than having everybody contact them and having to weed through the people that, they liked and didn't like. So the landscape for breaking into the industry, whether it's animation or comics or whatever, is completely different now. And it's really interesting.
They're discovering pretty much all the illustrators and animators and storyboard artists on the internet now. You don't have to go far. You don't have to go anywhere. You just sit down in the comfort of your office or wherever you are at a studio and just discover artists.
Now, I want to talk to you a little bit, if we can. Now, you've got a book on that's called Koranimated Volume 1. We see it right here. We'll get to that in a little bit. We'll bring up your campaign. The link for his campaign is in the description of this video, by the way. So you can just go down there anytime and click on that and go back this book. But it's an art book. And but I want to talk a little bit about your style and how you developed this, because this is not what we're seeing in animation now is, and by now I mean maybe the last decade or whatever, we're not seeing the same stuff that we saw on, dating all the way back to Looney Tunes, the Warner Brothers stuff, or Saturday morning cartoons in the 70s, the 80s. It's a very stylized, very kind of cool, cutting edge sort of approach. Is this something is this how you've always drawn or gravitated to, or is this something you sort of became because you needed to get into the industry because that's the way it was going? Or talk a little bit about how you developed this style of drawing that you use here.
Well, in illustration and oil painting or whatever I was using to create art, I was always sort of experimenting and just sort of trying to come up with a new sort of look for myself to, because I never wanted to sort of stay stagnant when it came to the style of my artwork. So my coloring style looks, and cell shaded. I started this actually when I used to chill online with my buddies,
Mhm.
Because they would cell shade. I was doing more sort of traditional looking art. I was like,
Right.
what if I made something look like watercolor, but digitally, in Photoshop?
Mhm.
But then I would see them doing sort of a cell shaded style, and I was like, oh, I want to try that, but I also want to I want to play with it. So it was, yeah, it was never really sort of like they're doing a Spider-Verse style. This
Right.
style always had, like I started doing this with the what do you call it? What do they call it? Calibrations or I forget what it even call it. I was doing this style like 7 years ago, 8 years ago,
Hmm.
before Spider-Verse had even come out. So a lot of people, like my friends, they think that they took that style from me. I don't
Oh.
know. I'm not sure. I don't even really care. I just sort of
So you got ripped off. Wow. How about that? Well, what were you? There had to be like inspirations, artistic inspirations in your life, either growing up or after you were an adult, and kind of
yeah.
formalizing your style. I mean,
Oh yeah.
were there guys you were looking at? I mean, in particular, that you thought, oh, I like that. I'll take some of this. I'll take some of that.
Oh yeah. Like I was definitely inspired by tons of artists like Norman Rockwell when he was doing the Saturday Evening Post, and then the Boy Scout stuff from back in the day. Because how he would take real photos and exaggerate them almost like they were cartoon characters. That was so awesome.
Right. He would always add that something to his, and it wasn't just tracing photographs and painting them. He was adding something that made them a little bit bigger than life or more animated or more alive than what was in the photo.
Yeah. And that's one of the reasons why I liked Michelangelo, because, he would sort of exaggerate the human form to just make it more interesting. I mean, like,
Mhm.
no real man has that shape of David, but he made it, his own man.
Yeah.
And to me, that also, and J.C. Leyendecker.
Oh yeah, Leyendecker was a comic book artist before there were comic books. I mean, that
Yeah,
guy, it's so stylized and exaggerated. It was great stuff.
yeah. J.C. Leyendecker was a huge inspiration. Of course, Bruce Timm.
Mhm.
When I was, watching Batman animated series, I was like, who's the character designer on this stuff? Like, who's design? Before I even really knew what character design was, I was like, who's designing the look?
Mhm.
So cartoon. Um, and what else? Who else? So many of the comic book artists from the early '90s. Jim Lee, of course, Mark
Yeah.
Silvestri, Todd McFarlane, Eric Larson. A lot of those artists that end up moving or making the transition from Marvel to Image, creating Image and all that. I wasn't really what's the guy that created Shadowhawk? Jim Valentino. I wasn't that much of a fan of him, but I did like his sense of business. Like you could tell he was business-minded.
Yep. Yeah, he was the one guy that was kind of the oddball in all that Image group, because everybody else had this sort of cutting edge style, and he was very much kind of old school in his approach. David Williams says David Williams was Koran's biggest inspiration, I hear. So,
well, actually, David, I discovered his stuff back in like 2003 or 4, because I think he posted somewhere online a Batman. And I didn't know who did this Batman. Had no clue what he looked like or what she looked like. I just know I was like, oh, this is like some of the conceptual imagery for the Batman animated series, right? And so that's what drew me to, pardon the pun, to what do you call it? David?
Yeah. David just kept bugging me till I'd be his friend. That's kind of what happened with me. So I couldn't get rid of him. I said, I'm just going to give in and I'll hang with the guy a little bit. But so hang on a second here. Neon Todd Studio says, very cool to see Koran Kaiser Stone here. I remember seeing his stuff on DeviantArt all the time and getting a lot of inspiration from it. I love his grown-up Calvin and Christopher Robin pieces. One thing I dig about what you're doing, and there's some other guys that I see this a lot in character designers, where you guys just have the mentality where you push the limits, right? I'm so old school. It's really hard for me to get outside the box. It's like, you know, I do perspective and I do forced perspective. Even my forced perspective still seems somewhat believable. But you guys go in and you do this just incredible like stretching of the anatomy and just getting the most energy you can out of a single drawing. And I really admire that, because it does take a certain mental aptitude to be able to do that and to kind of think naturally that way. And I'm always I have to force myself to think that way, and it does not come natural to me at all. So I love this like hyper stylized, for a better lack of lack of a better term, that we're seeing not only like in your work, but like I said, it seems to be prevalent, whether they ripped it off from you or what. This seems to be sort of the direction that we're seeing animation go in, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's cool. It makes it way cooler than trying to, you know, Bruce Timm was probably the first guy that came in and sort of stylized the animation, you know, but you guys are just continue to push the boundaries with, you know, Into the Spider-Verse and things like that just make it it's not just a good animated movie. It becomes a cool artistic experience, which is nice to see, because a lot of times it would just be, you know, you draw it competently so you can get the story across, but now the art and the style is actually becoming part of the experience. I just think that's, you know, that's a really cool way to do it.
I'm hoping that, you know, that continues. You know, because that for a minute we were, even though I loved the Disney, the Pixar stuff from back in the day, everything started looking samey, you know, all the same.
Yeah.
And the ideas were, you know, they sometimes were heartfelt and they would touch you, but like I said, they were very sort of the same thing, same style.
It became kind of a house style, right? And it's like you didn't see in animation, maybe the particular director like Chuck Jones or somebody's, you could see that his influence over his animators, it was stylized to it looked a little different than, you know, Freeling or McKimson looked a little different, you know. And so they did have a little bit, but they were still within that same sort of realm of acceptability, right? But you first saw it in comic books where people, especially in the 80s and certainly into the 90s, where you get away from a house style and you'd start to see these individual artistic styles emerge from different artists. You know, Walter Simonson was just very different than what John Byrne was. And then Frank Miller started off very much like a house style, but then became something totally different along the way. And now we're finally starting to see that in animation, I think, where we're getting this really sort of stylized interpretation of characters and stuff, and rather than just this continuing house style where everything looks the same. And it really makes the stuff way more interesting.
I mean, like in the 1980s, they were coming out with so many different types of cartoons. I don't know, like the Silverhawks and the Thundercats and Transformers, and, you know, all and the animation Gummy Bears, you know, you know, and the animation for all of these cartoons were different from each other,
right?
But then it started getting to the point where everything started to, well, this is very popular, so let's create more of this look. You know, and that's why I say I'm hoping that doesn't happen with, you know, the whole Spider-Verse, where it's different now, all of the animated content that's coming out, but it's going to start, well, this is very popular, this made $5 billion, let's every studio create that look, you know.
Well, you're going to see that. I mean, Hollywood always has done that, right? Whatever's successful, they're going to copy it and run it into the ground. But I think the nice thing we're seeing, and we're seeing this in crowdfunding and comics, obviously, and we also seeing it in animation. Like, I'm sure you've seen the movie Klaus, right? And we've got guys that are forming these independent studios. So you're yeah, the main studios are always going to be copycatting each other because, oh, that's success, so we're going to do the same thing. But I think the fact that there's so many independent voices out there now doing not only animation but comics and other things, that hopefully it'll keep that individualism alive, so that we're going to continually get sort of different styles and different looks to things, to so they don't get dull and get tired. And you know, when Disney was doing they had that run in the 90s, starting with Little Mermaid. I guess that was the late 80s, but then through the 90s and culminating with maybe, I don't know, Tarzan, where they had this sort of formulaic thing, not just art wise, but story wise. And they would try and do like different influences in the art, but it was still all sort of the same type of thing. Yeah. And then we got our socks blown off with Into the Spider-Verse, with something totally different. And
I think that's one of the reasons why I liked, the more popular artists that came out, and of course the more obscure artists that nobody has ever heard of. I was a big Ron Lim fan back in the day. I always thought Ron Lim kind of reminded me of George Perez, and Jim Starlin, sort of mixed in one. And a little bit of just a dash of John Byrne, but I liked that artists back in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s started having their own look, and people were so very much attracted to that in the comic book industry. You know, like Jim Lee, he didn't look like Todd McFarlane. Mm-hmm. You know, Todd McFarlane was just like this. Like, I couldn't even believe that Marvel at that time was letting a sequential artist do what he was doing. Yeah. You know? Yeah. It's like they're letting him get away with this. I mean, like the whole comic book is horizontal in this one. Yeah. You know,
it was crazy. It was a cool time. So I remember seeing that stuff, and we weren't sure if we liked it or not, but we had to admit it was different and it was cool. It was cool.
Yeah. And then when Joe Mad came along in the mid 90s, and then he started incorporating a lot of the stuff that I was very much interested in, which was anime. You know, I was like, okay, I want to draw superheroes, because at that time, I was, even though I loved comic books and animation, I was going to become a medical illustrator. You know, because
you're not the first person I've talked to that was planning that, and then something similar to that.
Yeah, my father, whatever my father told me to study as an artist, that's what I did. But I would read every single book and become pretty voracious with how I read stuff, right? Mm-hmm. So if it was anatomy, I started with basic anatomy, and then I kind of progressed, or gradually sort of moved on through Gray's Anatomy, which is what doctors read in order to become a doctor. And that got me into like wanting to like illustrate all these pictures that I would see in the, and then when it's composition, I learned composition. My father was extremely blunt when it came to artists, because he was an artist. He's an artist himself. So I would present him as like a 10 or 11-year-old, a picture of a dog, and he would be like, well, that looks like a horse, son. You might want to, redraw that, make it look more like a dog. And I would draw a cat, and he's well, that is a kangaroo.
No, look, there's some real value in that, because my dad was sort of apathetic to all this stuff. He didn't get it, but my mom was very supportive, but she was really hypercritical of me as well. And I would, I'd show her something, and you better work a little harder on it wasn't like, oh, you're so good, honey. You're so good. You're so good. It was like, yeah, this is good, but you need to change. You better go back and work on this a little bit more. And it was because I got that encouragement, but I also got that criticism that I was being challenged as a young kid rather than just skating by. Right. And then you get into the real world and realize you're not half as good as you thought you were.
Pretty much, and I was very happy that my father would be, he was so truthful, when it came to my art, because I know I have friends that I felt like they were so close to me that they wouldn't tell me the truth if I was to present them with something that's horrible.
Right. Well, you don't want to hurt. You don't want to hurt your friends' feelings. You don't want to piss them off, right? But
Yeah.
and most people don't want to hear the bad news that, oh, you know, you got some work to do here, pal. They do not want to hear that. And I probably didn't either when I was a kid. It used to make me mad when my mom, because you think you got something that's really brilliant, and you show it to your mom or your dad in your case, and they go, yeah, you know, you need to, you know, you're like, what is this?
They're like, what is this piece of abstract art, or what do we?
Yeah, exactly. Like, what is this supposed to be? And you're like, you know,
no, that's a man. That's just a man standing there. What? But yeah. So if it was perspective, I didn't know what perspective was when I was like a 13-year-old kid. I was like, you mean like when you're looking at something that's your perspective? He says, sort of, kind of. And so my father said, you need to learn your perspective, composition, color theory, all that stuff. And so whatever he told me to learn, that's what I pretty much focused on.
Well, good for you. Well, it's worked out for you, right? So how long have you been doing this now?
You mean working in the animation?
Yeah. You say you started when you were about 28 or so?
Yeah. 28 years old.
I'm not trying to, you know, date you or anything here and tell everybody how old you are.
No.
But how long have you been doing this about?
Yeah, about 13 years, I guess.
Okay.
Altogether. Yeah. 28.
And it's kind of fun when you finally get to a point where you're making a living doing it. Yeah. But I think it sort of spoils you because you're like, I don't know if I could ever go do anything else now. You know, I mean, I'm thinking about maybe being a Walmart greeter. I'm getting to that age where, you know, if I run out of work, I could probably swing that. But
yeah, you don't want to do that.
It's not first
for that.
It's not first on my list. All right, let's take a look at your campaign real quick here and see what. Now I got to call you out on this, just like maybe your dad would do. Okay. Why didn't you like contact me or somebody before you launched this book so we could get you some screen time? Because this just kind of snuck up on everybody. And I don't even know that most people are aware that this is out there. Yeah,
no one really knows. I didn't really tell too many people. This is my first ever sort of campaign. Like this was almost like, I mean, I love, what do you call it? Fund my comic and everything. Yeah. But this was almost like the prototype to getting up on Indiegogo and Kickstarter. I think the Luke Stone, who has my last name, by the way.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
Yeah, we might be related.
Distant relatives, right?
Yeah. I think he's doing some pretty and making some pretty innovative moves when it comes to this.
Mm-hmm.
This is like, let's see if I can create my own little campaign for my art book, because I have tons of artwork that people want to see. And I'm like, okay, let's make a 180 page version of all of that stuff.
Okay, now you.
And I also didn't know that you guys were, you had your own live streams and stuff like that.
Now wait a minute. I'm calling you out now because you were on our show. Great, you were on Graybeards like a month ago. Now this hadn't launched yet when you were on Graybeards the first time.
I thought it did. No,
I don't think so. Maybe you're just being shy. Well, don't do it again. Next time you got something coming up, and let us know so we can help you out. But all
right,
because I ordered the hardcover here. Gosh darn it! And I want that hardcover. So it's basically you've got a hardcover option, you got a soft cover option, and are you offering digital too? Is that what am I dreaming that, or is there a digital copy of, or is it just
no digital copy?
Okay, just good.
Physical. Yeah. And then also skateboard deck. I found this actually right around the corner from me. There's this skateboard what do you call it, place that sells shoes and all that stuff, but they also print high quality imagery on skateboards. So I collaborated with them in order to do some stuff.
Oh, very cool. So you could have some some of your art on a skateboard. That's pretty freaking cool. Of course, your art is perfect for that. It has that exact vibe that you'd need. So this is now you can't show your animation stuff, right? That stuff is usually top secret. So this is just all stuff that you've done outside of a particular animation job. Is that right?
Yeah, pretty much. And a lot of stuff that people have just never seen. Yeah, it's yeah, no, I can't. Yeah, I can't because of NDA purposes. I can't share
Sure,
a lot of that
sure.
stuff.
So you got 7 days to go. Are you going to leave it open?
I might leave it open. You know, just to, I guess, see where it
Let me
goes.
advise you to leave it open.
Okay.
Um,
All right. Yeah.
But you guys, the description, pardon me, the link to this campaign is in the description of this video. So you can go right there, click on it. It'll take you right there, and you can back this book. I'd highly recommend it. It's just full of cool art. And let's refresh this here and see what's happening. There we go. We got one. We got a $35 one in there. Let's get some more in there, you guys, during the course of this show. This is a great looking book and a tremendous artist. So you want to support him, and I don't think you'll be disappointed with what you get. Now, my next question for you is, do you work entirely digital all the time, or do you use paper at all anymore?
Let's see. Professionally, yeah, I work entirely digital.
Right. I get that.
It's just easier, but no, I do have a sketchbook that I draw on with color pencil, Crayola color pencils and stuff like that.
The reason I bring this up is because I see so many of you guys that are doing the work completely digital, and I'm like, you guys, there's a market out there for original art, that you can't tap into, because I guess you can do, like, if someone did how does it work if I contacted you and said, hey, I want a digital commission? What does that mean exactly?
Well, they usually sort of give me a deposit, but
what do I get as the consumer when I get the what am I getting?
You get the high res sort of version, like a picture. That's pretty much it.
So I can then print it out and do whatever, so it's exclusive to me, right?
Yeah.
So I'm the only one that has access to it to print it up.
Yeah, pretty much. Like,
but do you now, maybe you're just from a different generation, but do you miss, or do you think about, man, I could make X amount of dollars a year if I had actual originals on paper to sell? Or does that not even occur to you?
Yeah, I was first introduced to that when I where did I go? I was at the first New York City Comic-Con at Jacob Javits Center, and some company actually had me sit at their table. They had discovered my artwork, but they just wanted me to sit at their table and draw. I thought that was extremely weird, but I was like, okay, I could do that. Hey, I didn't pay me or anything. It's just like, hey, sit down here with us and draw for us. And so they gave me a huge 11 by 17 illustration board with a big black marker, and I was just drawing sort of pictures of different portraits of superheroes and villains from comic books. I developed a long line. I was like, nobody knows who I am. Why is this long line? Because I was giving away those drawings. So
that'll do it, man. Free art. Everybody's like in line.
Then I realized, wait, if I was to get money for this, I would probably make about $600-$700 before I get the hell out of here. Yeah. That's when I realized, oh shoot, I could probably make money traditionally. But I was so at that time so into the digital, like Photoshop, and seeing all the experimenting with Photoshop so much to where I didn't really revert back to traditional.
Yeah, well, no, I can see that. It's like if you're brought up doing it one way, that doesn't even occur to you, right? Because this is just how you do things, and that's why it's so hard for me to transition. I hate to use that word, transition into digital, but because I'm so old school, it's like everything's been paper my entire life, and it's like just getting to the point where I had to buy a scanner and then scan my originals was like, wow, that's technological for me. And so to even go that extra mile and start drawing on computer, it's just not going to happen. I'm going to die drawing on a piece of paper. but it's always been a significant part of my income because we never really got paid that much doing comics. And unless you got on a big book where you got huge royalties, you lucked out and it sold and, you made money that way. It was always like 25% of my income every year was original art sales, And so for me to kind of walk away from that and not do it is like, I just couldn't even imagine it. So, and there's guys that don't sell their work, but they apparently do better than I do. Because I wouldn't sell my work if I didn't have to, but
Yeah.
Although 30 years, it starts to pile up if you don't sell some of it. So
yeah, you got to definitely get some of that art out of there. I mean, like, especially like, see, if I'm a huge critic when it comes to my artwork. So if I had tons of drawings that I was surrounded by of mine, I don't know if I could take it. I just don't. I don't care.
Yeah, but see, that's why you're good. And because I tell this to people, and then I've had other pros go, "Oh, you got to give yourself a break." And I'm saying, no, you never give yourself a break, right? You've always got to be your worst critic or your biggest critic, because that's the only way you're going to get better. Otherwise, you just get complacent and you start to skate by, and then all your peers are like, "Wow, he really fell off the cliff," And so I'm the same way. It's like, I'm usually not in love with anything I've drawn, you know what I mean? And it's, but every once in a while you go back and look at it and go, hey, that was better than I thought. So maybe it's just we're that way in the moment. And then after time passes, you have a little bit clearer head and you go back and look at it and say, oh, that was pretty good after all. But you have to be super critical of yourself if you're going to be successful. At least I've always believed that.
Yeah. And, I was telling this girl a couple of, cause she wants to make movies, film.
Mm-hmm.
And she also sings and everything, and we were at karaoke, and she was like, I was like, don't you go up there and sing some karaoke or whatever? And she was like, my voice, it's not ready. I need the keys. And I was like, no, just go up there. Nobody cares about that. This is not the voice. This is not American Idol. Just go up there. And she says, no, I strive for perfection. I was like, why are you talking like that? Like you're a transatlantic, actor from back in the day. I don't really. I think perfectionism is non-existent, right?
Right.
And you should always be striving to learn. I also told my friend, I was like, I'm not the same artist as I was yesterday.
Right.
Is because I absorbed in more information, which allowed me to become a better artist, more learned artist. From my last piece. If I do one piece and I don't learn from it, then I felt like I failed in some ways, right? And so it's gotten to the point where like I'm just different from what I used to be, even yesterday, even two seconds ago,
Mm-hmm.
If that makes any sense.
No, it does. Eric the Guapo says, Aaron, you can become a teacher with your background. You can get a CTE's credential and teach art, publishing, and more. I used to do that back when I was way younger. I had taught an art class through the Portland Museum Art Museum School. What is it called? Northwest, whatever it is. And the problem was I didn't really know what I was doing then. Now I actually probably have something of value to offer, but so maybe I will.
When my friend Rad Seacrest, when he first started up his school, about 2 years later, he was like, he had artists sort of work with him, like become teachers for his school, and I was one of them. My friend Ethan, what's his last name? I forgot it. Ethan Becker. He called me up and he was like, hey man, you should probably teach a class of character design or something like that. And I was like, I'm not really a teacher. I don't even know how to even describe most of my artwork. That was, but he's like, well, I made a couple $100,000 in 8 minutes. So I'm just saying that. I was like, oh, okay.
Like, okay, yeah, I'll figure it out.
I was like, let's do it.
I like the sound of that after all.
And so I made $40,000 in just by teaching 8 classes.
Wow.
You know,
I
yeah,
never made that much. I might have made $400 teaching 8 classes. I can't remember, but
yeah.
Gilberto Trinidad says, "What would you recommend for a realistic comic art style?" Well, there's two things going on there. One, you want to get your basics down so that your figure drawing, life drawing. If you're doing life drawing, or if you can do life drawing, that's highly recommended. But there's also great books. Someone actually said, I think Citizen Rona in the chat, Andrew Loomis books are fantastic. There's a lot of good anatomy books out there. And then it's adapting when you get that the realism down, drawing what you see, in other words, then it's like finding a stylized version of how to present that in comic book form. And you can push that as far as you want in terms of exaggeration or, depending on how you want your final product to look. But look at different guys that you like in comics and, kind of try to, at first, I never really encourage people to copy other people, but it's a great way to sort of learn and get a handle on a style and then sort of branch off in your own direction. I mean, I'm an amalgam of dozens of artists where I take a little bit from Kevin Nolan, I take a little bit from Travis Charest. Now I'm going to start stealing from Kaiser. I'm going to take any stuff I can get that helps me sort of expand and as Kaiser was talking about, growing as an artist and not just getting stagnant and being stuck in one genre or one style or one approach. So that's a pretty complicated answer that's a much more complicated question than it sounds like, but it is. But you got to get your basics down first. You got to get your life drawing, your figure drawing. You have to be able to do that first before you can kind of spring off and start manipulating that. It's like they say, you can't break the rules until you learn the rules, right? And that doesn't make sense until you actually do learn the rules. And then you understand what that means. Yeah.
You can have fun when you learn the fundamental.
Right. Exactly. So,
there's a ton of people who they see, awesome stuff and they're incredibly inspired by it. And they can only draw the best of the stickmen, and I'm like, well, you need to learn, some of these things, rules of like art in order to get there, in order to become as good as one of your favorite artists.
Exactly.
You got to do the work. Unfortunately, that's how it works.
That's the kind of thing you don't see. You see the success on one end, but there's no way getting around the grind of all the years that lead up to that success. Yeah. Have you ever? I mean, you said you were a comic book fan growing up, as well as of illustrators and other things. Have you considered doing your own comic at this point, or are you more comfortable just doing single illustration to sort of tell a story?
Well, both actually. I mean, like I'm starting to get into doing comic book covers, but I mean, me and my friend, we're doing some sequential stuff for some of the ideas that we have sort of come up with in the past 20 years. Yeah. So we're finally starting to put that stuff together, but in sequential form. Yeah. Some of this stuff has absolutely no dialogue balloons. It's just mostly picture. So, telling stories with pictures and challenging ourselves to do that, But,
well, is this book Koranimated here? Are you just sort of testing the waters to crowdfunding to kind of see? Do you have bigger plans beyond this, or is you just throwing this out there and see what happens and kind of go from there, kind of thing?
Yeah, this is like definitely like the prototype to putting out art books, more art books, and also even like sequential stuff that I'll put out, with my buddy. So. Yeah, I mean, like this is just like sort of I've never put out a sketchbook, an art book, or anything like that, and so I wanted to first try this with my art that I've been doing for the past 10 years.
Well, the secret ingredient to success and all this stuff is exposure, and more so than talent. And so I see you're starting to make the rounds, and continue to do that, and keep pushing, and we'll have you on as often as I can, and as much as you like.
Yeah, that's
So
enjoy, man. I like people who actually know, because I am a big Silver Age, Golden Age, whatever age we're living in right now when it comes to art.
the Iron Age. This is the Iron Age, or so they tell me.
Oh, the Iron Age. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm just a huge fan of just art, period, man. I watch like random documentaries about Georgia O'Keeffe and you know, some of the very troublesome artists back in the day, like what was the light and shadow guy, Caravaggio, stuff like that. So I'm a big fan of all of it, dude.
Yeah, it's I've only taken one art history class in my life, but man, I fell in love with it. I was like, I could go down this rabbit hole forever. You know, when you really start looking at artists from centuries past, and you know, and what they were doing and what they accomplished, and it's amazing. It really is, and you can learn so much by doing that.
Yeah.
All right, so I got a few things I like to do on this show that I'm now going to make you suffer through. So one of the first things is I have a top 5 every week, and I'm going to go ahead and do my top 5 this week, and I guess in the intro reveal what I'm doing. So hang on to your seat there. This is going to get exciting. Not really, but it's going to be something anyway. All right. So I do like my top 5 comics, top 5 movies, whatever between. I thought, you know, why not be a little self-serving this week and show what I think are my top 5 comic covers from the mainstream. Now, I didn't include Wraith of God or any of the new stuff I'm doing because obviously, you know, I'd pick those. But I want to kind of look back over the, you know, 25 plus years before I started doing my own thing. And so now you get to see what my personal taste is in my personal work. So here's number 5. I just realized that out of the 5 covers that I'm going to show, I still have the original art to 3 of them, which actually is pretty good considering what a capitalist I am. And it's like, if I can, you know, make $1, I'll probably sell something. But this was a Hulk comic based on a video game. Like, I guess there's a video game called Hulk Destruction. I have no idea. But the Hulk editor, this is about the time I was doing Planet Hulk over at Marvel, and he asked me if I want to do this Hulk cover, and it was Hulk versus the Abomination, and I went, well, duh, yeah, I'll do that. So I did the cover. I penciled and inked it. I didn't color it. And I've hung on to this because I was like, I may never get to do another Hulk cover as long as I live, you know? So I still have this original in my portfolio, but I really like admittedly, I was sort of ripping off Michael Golden, who has like, you know, these really sort of dynamic cover images that he puts together that, you know, and there's a couple he's had where guys are falling at an angle or, you know, coming. And so it's kind of a loose kind of, I was like, oh yeah, I remember Golden did something like that. I'm going to try this. The funny thing is I did this cover and somebody saw it at San Diego, this years ago, you know, probably 15 years ago. And the guy comes up to me and he goes, it looks like you ripped off Mike Zeck. And I'm like, what? There's a Hulk annual cover with the Abomination that Zeck drew that's almost identical to this, and I had never seen it.
Oh wow!
So it just cracked me up. I was like, because I went and looked it up, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm a hack, and I didn't even know it.
That right hand Incredible Hulk hand there, it kind of reminds me of like the way Joe Quesada used to draw fists. You know?
It could be because I loved Quesada's stuff. Back in the day. I thought that was okay. Now check this out. I'm going to bring this up real quick, but let me see here. I got to do this and I got to do that. So let this image burn in your mind, and then now check this out.
Okay.
This is the Zach cover that I did not know existed. It's a little bit smaller, but see the abomination here, and the whole going. They're coming out of a window, but it's very similar.
Yeah.
And I had never seen this before.
Yeah.
And here I am ripping it off by accident. So, what are you gonna do?
Now I think you're just sort of like, because Abomination is like his arch enemy, like his he's kind of like the Lex Luthor to Superman type thing. So of course somebody is going to like draw them, going up against each other, maybe in a side, So I don't know.
Well, it is funny that considering how many years people have been doing this with the same characters and how many covers have been out there, that we don't see more of this. We're just similar, ideas coming out. And look at this. Here we go. Colin says confirmed. Aaron swipes. Says Ron clearly ripped him off. See, this is what I got to put up with. Anyway, okay, so that's my number 5. Maybe just because it's the Hulk, and but it has a place in my heart. So,
I love
all right, so let's take a look at number 4. Dramatic music. Okay, the reason this cover is on here is I love the figure, how the figure turned out, but also this is Mystic from when I was working at CrossGen.
Oh.
All these math equations I had to get from Shelley because she's fighting this wizard and he gets his power by math, right? And so I had to get all these. I mean, I was like, Shelley, I need math equations and I need a bunch of them. So she's like, well, do X equals B plus, square root of whatever. And I'm just like, okay, slow down. Yeah. So this is my, awesome. Shelley helped me out on this, coming up with my math cover, but I really like her figure and how that came out. We got the little Wile E. Coyote joke right here with her little sidekick with the umbrella trying to protect himself from the falling debris.
Yeah. You guys at CrossGen, it was like, wow, they just gathered all the most exceptional artists together and made art.
That's what we like to tell everybody. The truth is, I think most of us were out of work. And so it was like we took the job because we had to. But of course, you get there and go, oh, yeah, I was working on Spider-Man, but this opportunity came along. And I was like, I wasn't going to pass this up. Like, yeah, right.
I ended up working with one of the CrossGen artists, Jeff Johnson, over on Transformers Prime. Yeah.
I know. Jeff taught me how to juggle while we were at CrossGen.
Oh, yeah.
Now I can juggle fruit, and I never could before. So I owe Jeff that.
Yeah. I remember I was sitting like 2 cubicles back. I was like, what is that alcohol smell? It's like somebody.
Jeff cracked open the flask and he's back there having
he had like a draw and he would open up. I don't know what he was drinking, but it was very strong. I don't think he knew, like, everyone could smell it. So, and then he would get back to his fantastic storyboarding.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
Yeah.
I haven't talked to Jeff in a long time, but he's a good guy.
Oh yeah.
Apparently has a drinking problem though. No, I'm kidding.
No.
I'm joking. It's a joke. Okay, so that's number 4 on my list, and here we go with number 3. Okay, I did a series for DC that most people probably don't care about or never heard of, but it was kind of their Hulk character called Damage. And this is pencil and ink by me, colored by Brian Miller. And I am a big fan of covers that have big central images or big characters in them for your focus. Yeah. And this clearly has that. I just liked how the figure turned out. I'm kind of mad they covered up his foot with the Dark Knight Demolished thing on there, but at least they left the rest of it open. But yeah, I got to draw Batman in this I don't know what version of the Batmobile that is, but it might have been whatever toy I bought for my son back in the day, and it was laying around here and I used as a reference. But
Yeah.
I just and I also like the color on it, which I didn't have anything to do with.
Yeah.
Like I said, Brian Miller at Hi-Fi did the color on it, but I love that kind of orange and pink.
Yeah,
It's
it kind of
almost
reminds me of Kelsey Shannon's.
yeah, it does.
Yeah.
And so despite it's interesting somehow, or sometimes when you get on a project that is flying under the radar and no one's going to care about, but it just ends up becoming one of your favorite things because of the subject matter or whatever.
Yeah.
And you end up doing some of your better work on it and no one ever sees it. But now you're seeing it right there. So that's Damage number 13.
Who's the designer of Damage of this character? Like, who designed the character?
I think no, I can't think of his name. Tony doggone it. He did the first 3 issues. Somebody in the chat help me out here. Who designed Damage? He did Tony Daniel.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow. I love Tony.
There it is. He did the first 3 issues, and then when they launched this New Age of Heroes thing at DC, they got all these what they consider big name artists. Not that I didn't consider myself a big name artist, but they had these guys launch these books, and then they would do like 3 issues and bail. And I was telling Dan, I was like, Didio, I was like, why didn't you just hire me to do this from the beginning? Because then I would have stayed on it. Because they had, these people bail, and then they're scrambling to find other people to fill in, and then the series never gets a rhythm. I think I was the 4th artist when I took over by issue 9. I was the 4th artist on this book. And they're like, hey, do you think you can save this book? And I'm like, thanks for, the sales are in the tank and we're 9 issues in and I'm the 4th artist. Sure, I can save it. But anyway, and I did sell this cover, which I kind of like. Maybe I should have it, but I did get a decent amount of money, so I guess I can't complain too much. Yeah, I do have some other Damage covers, but
that Batmobile looks like a combination of the Christian Bale and the Batman animated series Batmobile.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was whatever they were using in the comics at that time, and the Batmobile is constantly evolving, right? Depending on who's working on it. All right, so we'll go to my number 2 all-time cover. All right, let's see here. This is probably too obvious, but I love the horse, and so this was
wow. Yeah.
They did the Dark Knight 3, and they did this thing with like 100 separate covers. So, I'm not special. Just about everybody and their brother got to do a cover for this. But there's only a couple of people that tackled the horse, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to do a horse. And you can see like the mane and stuff, how stylized it is. This coloring's very simple. I was trying to kind of stay with the vibe that the original, what Lynn Varley did on the first, Dark Knight Returns, the very first one, and kind of stay with that vibe, with that kind of chunkier, thicker Batman.
Yeah.
So people told me after I did this, it was funny because I hadn't read the book in years. Right? I don't think I've read the book since it came out, but I guess none of his like henchmen that he had, Batman had guns, because he would have been anti-gun, right? So they're like, they shouldn't have guns in the foreground. I'm like, well, where were the editors? Why did they tell me that before I turned this in and inked it? But anyway, so a couple of them have guns. Maybe they're not supposed to. They're rebels. So but this was what they did.
That horse, man. That horse looks awesome.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. They what they did was to subsidize all these covers is they would have comic shop owners could buy their own cover, right? So a certain shop would say, okay, yeah, I want to sponsor a cover, and they would have to buy like 5,000 copies or 3,000 copies, something like that. Just an enormous amount.
Yeah.
And then they could get their own cover for their store and sell the book exclusively, the exclusive whatever store it was. This guy had an online store that wanted to do this, and so he asked for me, which is always flattering, right? Because you don't want to be the guy that doesn't get asked to the dance. But so I got asked to do this. And he ended up buying the original from me, the guy that, I figured I owed it to him since, he's the one who actually made it possible for me to actually get a chance to do this. So
Yeah. Now, the illustration, the original, how much would you sell something like that for? Like a Batman?
I want to say probably about, at the time I sold this, and this would have been, I mean, now I'd probably ask about $2,000 or more for it, but back, I think I sold it for 15, which at the time I thought was pretty healthy. But I just figured it's such an iconic imagery that, I didn't want to shortchange myself on it. And, but it probably, I don't know how I would sell it for more than that now just because of inflation. But I think that, like I said, I think 15 is what I sold it for, and I got it. So I was happy. But whenever you give someone a price and they say, yeah, I'll do that, you're only like, oh, I should have asked for more.
Yeah. That's happened to me so many times. I remember one time, someone said that they would pay me a pretty substantial amount of money. And I was like, no, pay me 2,000 more. I didn't think that they were going to. I thought they were going to we're just going to stay with. Turns out I should have. They were like, they just accepted it right away. Like, it was more than $10,000 too.
I had something like that happen to me once, and it was like I was negotiating, but I really wasn't negotiating. I just didn't have time to do the book. I was working on Sludge for the Ultraverse back in the 90s, and this. I got in contact with this ad agency, and they were constantly doing these comic book stuff because Image was really hot at that time. Yeah. And so all their projects, they were doing these comic book projects, and they kept trying to get these Image guys to do the artwork, and the Image guys would turn them down because there's no way that ad agency could pay them as much money as they were making on their comics at that time. Right. Yeah. So I would be like the second or third choice, and they'd come to me and say, hey, would you do this? And I was like, oh, heck yeah. Because I was in commercial art at the time. I hadn't broken into comics full time. I was doing Sludge, but I hadn't transitioned to where I was, paying all my bills at that point. So I was kind of still in commercial art. And then finally, I did some jobs for these guys. Like they did like cups for like 7-Eleven, with these heroes that they had created and different things like that. And then, so they called me one time, and I had finally broken away from the commercial art stuff. I was doing 100% doing comics. Yeah. And I was working on Sludge, and I may have been working on Lord Pumpkin at the same time. So I might have been working on 2 books at the same time. So, I mean, I was really, really busy. Okay. And so they called me up and they said, hey, we got this project we want you to do. And the guy, I can't remember what they originally offered me, maybe like $5,000 or something, right, to do this, which was good money. Yeah. And I was like, I was being totally honest and truthful with him. I said, look, I don't have time to do this. I can't take it. I can't do it. Yeah. And they thought I was just, negotiating, right? Yeah. So the guy's like, all right, we'll give you $7,500. And I'm like, I said, I can't do it. I mean, I'm being honest with you, dude. I'm not messing with you. I said, I just don't have time to do it. I'm working on 2 projects right now. I just can't squeeze it in. He goes, all right. And he ended up offering me 10 or 12 grand to do this job. And I finally said, all right, I'll do it. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm not walking away from that money, Yeah,
pretty much.
Because it ended up being over twice what they originally offered me. And I was just telling him I couldn't do it when I honestly couldn't do it. So I ended up hiring other guys to help me. And oh boy, but yeah.
So anyway. I mean, like when a client says, okay, too easily, that's when you're like, damn it.
Like, what was I thinking? I'm such a fool. Yeah. All right. So here it is. Here's my number 1 comic right now, or comic book cover I've ever done in the mainstream. Number 1. Do you like my cheesy graphics, by the way?
I love it. It's very sort of iMovie.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is, because I don't know how to use anything else. My daughter always comes in and goes, this looks so bad. And I'm like, well, then do it for me. I don't have time, and then that's into that, right? So
I'll do it for you. I love messing with that stuff.
Okay. Well, see, you shouldn't say that because I'll take you up on it. And I don't pay like those other guys do.
No, you don't have to pay for it.
All right, so this is one I penciled, inked, and colored.
Oh,
So, and I don't know, it's a very simple cover, but again, this is the kind of stuff I gravitate towards: is large imagery, not too complicated, so that you have a singular focus on the cover. And this was Rob Liefeld was hired by Archie to bring back the Shield, and they got into some sort of conflict, and I think he only ended up doing one issue, and he was supposed to do this miniseries. And but they called me, and because I do covers for Archie occasionally, and they called me and said, "Hey, do you want to do one of these?" And I said, "Yeah." And so I came up with this concept, did the cover, and
It's awesome.
colored it, and it just, for some reason, it just, the volume and the weight of the character, the way I ended up placing the blacks on it to give him a little bit more thickness to him, this is one of those things that worked really well. You know, you every once in a while you hit a piece that for whatever reason you look at it and you say, that I really like how that turned out, kind of thing. And so I got to color it too. So that's my latest favorite cover that I've done. So
I love the shadowing on the right leg there. You know, that sort of turns into, you know, whatever he's standing on. And what is that he's standing on there?
It's like it's like mechanical pieces of a robot, you know. And I actually kind of liked how that's some of the more interesting looking mechanical stuff that I've ever done. I'm not really good at doing that, so that came out okay too. So it was like every element on here really kind of ended up working for me, and I was like, so this is this is my favorite.
That's one of my favorite things to do, is to just have a character just standing there, but make it look almost as if it still has life to it, instead of it, you know, instead of it just being a very sort of stiff and lifeless, soulless type character. So
well, you put them in a scenario, right? You can put somebody just standing on the cover, and that's the cover, or you put them in a scenario that has a little bit of storytelling behind it. Yeah. Right. And then then it becomes something more than just a drawing or an illustration. So
Donald Trump would love this this cover, by the way.
I'll call him up.
This is really cool. I love it. This is the greatest.
This is excellent. I got to tell you, this is wonderful. I've never seen anything quite like it. It's just,
it's nothing like it. I would know better than anybody else.
So, do you ever do any voices in like for your cartoons, or you ever tried that?
Not yet, but once me and my friend, we get the opportunity to do that, then we're definitely going to do it.
Colin says, you can see Aaron didn't want to upstage Rob Liefeld too much. He drew only 1 foot. He didn't want to put in shadow. That's right.
You didn't put with a whole billowing, you know, smoke. Sweet. Have you ever done printed images of Pitt?
I'm going to say that's to both of us. And let me bring up your drawing here, because obviously it's in the background here, but I've got it. What did I do with it? Should be on my desktop someplace. There it is. Let me bring it up. So you showed this. You sent this to me during Graybeard's, not last week, but the week before. Were you doing this during the show, or is it something you did prior?
I was sketching it during the show.
Okay, so you wanted to kind of show us up a little bit, is what you're saying.
Oh, no. I was because I know that you had been on the podcast with Del Keown, or whatever, and I was like, hey, I love Del Keown. Let me draw a Pitt. I had watched that live stream just before I went to the Graybeards, and so I was doing some
the interview I did with him.
Oh, did you do?
When I had him on the show.
No, I was watching when he was on there he was on another with Ethan.
Oh, okay.
Is it Ethan? Yeah, Ian.
Yeah, Ethan. Yeah.
So I thought, I was like, wow, I hadn't seen Del Keown in such a long time. I love Pitt, and the Incredible Hulk, all the Incredible Hulk art that he did back in the day. So
oh my gosh, I was a huge fan of his Hulk.
So at first I did like a colored sketch of the Pitt, and then I was just like, maybe I should beef it up a little bit.
No, this is great, and I know we were all pissed off when you sent it in. Oh, that's nice. And I love your coloring. I love your color sense. There's so much you use these sort of in your background, they're so bright and electric, and it just creates like a whole level of life to the illustration that wouldn't be there necessarily otherwise.
Oh, thanks, dude. Yeah, I was, it's mostly about like every single thing in my drawings. I try to like add something to it, to make it interesting, sort of to the eye, not just have it be there, So if it's a background, then maybe there's a little bit of smoke, that's rising up, or and then me and my friend, we created tons of customized brushes, streak brushes. We have streak
Oh,
brushes.
really?
Yeah. So those streaks in the background,
Yeah.
that's an actual brush that we created. And then
That's
there's
cool.
some of the smoke in the or energy in the foreground. That's also a brush. So we're like we created brushes so that people don't need to draw anymore. No.
you're making lazy artists even lazier, right?
But yeah, I've been creating brushes since I realized what Photoshop was, just customizing them. Before I realized that people were making money off of it and everything.
Khan's Comic Pit Shop goes, oh, hell yeah, Kaiser, great work. So how about you, Aaron? Well, I've got something to share too. Now, I did some pit work for Dale way back in the day. I met him in Australia, at OzCon in Australia back in '94, and did some cards for him. That's not what I'm going to share now. I'm going to share something I did more recently. Now, this isn't in color. It's just a sketch, so I'm not going to have the same color as you. But I did that. Well, I guess a year and a half ago now. But I might have been on Dan Fraga's live stream. I can't remember when I did this, but I might have been on my own. I don't know. But it was when Dale sort of started coming out of the shadows again, and it was all over the internet and the indie market and Comicsgate and all these different things. And so Pitt was quite the rage there again for a while. And I did have him on my show. We did like a really long form interview with him, and
okay, I gotta watch
fascinating.
That. Yeah.
He's a funny guy, man. He's like a rock and roller, but he's a rock and roll artist, and he's got that total 70s rock and roll vibe to him,
Yeah. He's got a voice that sounds almost a little bit like David Finch for some reason. I can hear David Finch's voice. I don't know if they're from are they both from Canada or something?
I don't know if Finch is. I know that obviously Dale is, but I don't know. Finch may be.
Okay. Because I can, whenever I hear people talk, because I'm from Jersey. Jersey is the most multicultural state in the world. We have so many different types of people here. So if I hear a voice, I'm like, oh, that sounds like that voice from this particular place. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, he sounds. But every time I see Dale in a interview, now he's always sitting at an angle, and he's always drinking something from a canister.
He's always drinking and smoking. That's for sure.
Yeah.
He's drinking and smoking and going rock and roll, baby.
Yeah. Oh. He's one of my favorite artists, Delkin.
Oh, he
guy's great.
He was one of those guys because he's, we're contemporaries. We're about the same age. Actually, he's a little bit older than me, which I'm happy to say because I don't run into too many people anymore that are older than me. But he is. He doesn't look older than me, but he is. And so we broke in about the same time. And I was like doing crap work, and he was doing the Hulk. And so I was jealous of him, of course. But at the same time, I was like, I just loved his stuff. And when it's there, it's there. And you just kind of, you got to swallow your ego and go, this guy's awesome. And I've always loved his stuff. And of course his Pit stuff was just incredible that he did for Image. And
I fell in love with his stuff when he was doing Incredible Hulk in the beginning.
Yeah.
Before he beautified the Hulk, before he left the but he had like these huge
the brow and
and I was like, who is this art? This guy is exceptional. I'd never seen somebody draw Hulk like that before. Bigfoot.
Yeah, and his hands were the Hulk's hands were enormous, and it was
Yeah.
like he just felt like a giant, like you always felt like he should have looked.
Yeah.
And yeah, he had that sort of, you could tell the Byrne influence in his work, but he had but he had his own thing going on there, right? You know, and it was just it was really cool.
Yeah.
Snake Dog says Finch is indeed Canadian, so there you go. Maybe that's what it is.
Okay. Yeah.
Hidden Hand Media says Finch is too nice a guy not to be Canadian. There you go. So apparently, Canadians are nicer than us USA guys.
How about Jersey? Come on, you know. Over here.
I don't think Jersey's got the reputation for having a bunch of nice guys, do they?
I know. They have a reputation for having a whole bunch of wise guys.
That's right, exactly. Now, you know the thing I discovered about New Jersey when I was trying to break into comics, and I had like wherever I could find a friend from high school or whatever that was living someplace that was close to New York City that I could stay with, I found them out. And so I had some friends that were in New Jersey. I want to say, were they in Hoboken? Every time I say Hoboken, I got to go Hoboken. Ooh, I'm dying. That was a Bugs Bunny line. You know the cartoon?
Yeah. Frank Sinatra is from Hoboken, and a lot of Italians, Irish, stuff like that.
No, do you remember this cartoon though? Don't you?
Hoboken. Oh, I'm dying again.
I remember that episode.
8-Ball Bunny. It was 8-Ball Bunny. He had the little penguin. He had to return him to. He spent the whole cartoon taking him back to the Antarctic, and they found out that he was a performing penguin from a Hoboken ice capade show or something. You know.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we stayed in New Jersey, and then I had another friend who was a nurse, and she was like staying in, but she was in like on the train.
Yeah.
Like into the rural areas of New Jersey, which are really beautiful. I had no idea.
Yeah, it's our nickname is the Garden State. So
right, exactly. And I growing up, you know, living in Oregon, it's like, what do I know, right? And it's like you just hear things about New Jersey and Hoboken, and it's or not Hoboken, but Newark, you know. And I remember watching boxing in the 70s, and there was a guy, a middleweight. He was incarcerated in Rahway Prison, which is in New York, or is in New Jersey, right? Rahway Prison.
Yeah, that's where I'm living now, Rahway. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But even Rahway, that sounds like the mean streets of Rahway, you know?
Yeah.
But this guy was a boxer, and they would, because he was like armed robbery or something. It was James. I can't think of his name, but really scary looking dude. And so guys would come in, and he got ranked probably like the third ranked contender for the middleweight title. But he couldn't box outside the prison. So the contestants would have to come in and box him. And they had all these inmates, you know, were the crowd. And it was just crazy stuff, man.
Yeah. I don't know. You know, Jersey definitely gets a bad rap for being rude and having a whole bunch of factories that smelling and all these things. These are mostly just sort of like sensationalized, almost stereotypes in some ways, because there's not half of a lot of what people think is in Jersey, you know. It's not as bad as what it's a lot of people come back, especially back in the day, they used to want to live in New York, but New York is way too expensive.
Right.
Since Jersey is so close, they just would come and then form a whole life in Jersey.
Right. And then just ride the train into New York when you had to go into New York.
Yeah. I mean, like right now, and from Rahway, it's only two trains, 2 stops.
Yeah, so I was so fascinated when I went there, and I was like, my gosh, this is like some of those little smaller town communities that are along the train station, you know, and I was just like, I could live here, you know?
Yeah, it's really nice, especially over where I am. It's almost like a Smallville type, you know, area. You know, music every week. You know, somewhere, and you got coffee. It's always sunny. It's great, man.
Thanks for joining us, Christina. I will be in touch really shortly with some proofreading for you. Thank you for coming in. Anyway, okay. So, all right, dude, there's one other thing that I do on this show regularly that I can't ever skip. You want to have a guest.
Okay.
An important guest like yourself, where I push aside all the other stuff I do just to talk to you. But this we cannot ignore. Now, so tell me, Do you have any feelings at all about Bigfoot?
About Bigfoot?
Yeah, I mean, do you have like, are you like, I want to believe? Oh, it's just a big joke. Do you have any sort of feelings about Bigfoot?
When I was a kid, I guess, but these days I don't even think about Bigfoot. And I know I have big feet. Let's see.
You're gonna be thinking about Bigfoot after this.
Well, most people used to call me Bigfoot, and they thought, you know, especially when I was in the woods as a kid.
Wait a minute, how tall are you? How tall are you?
I'm 6 feet.
Are you just 6 feet?
Yeah.
Good. I'm 6'2", so I'm taller than you. What size shoe do you wear?
12 and a half. Something like
okay,
that.
now you do have big feet because I had 10 and a half, maybe 11 on depending on the show. So or the shoe.
And
anyway,
my feet has been 12 inches since I was in 10th grade. So yeah.
Wow. So you like grew really fast, and then they thought, oh, this guy's going to be your next basketball star, and then you quit growing.
Yeah, they were like, okay, well, forget it.
Go draw your pictures, buddy. You're out of here.
Yeah, plus you can't play sports, so.
Well, that's kind of important.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I do this segment called "Not Finding Bigfoot" because we've yet to find him, but we keep trying. So anyway, let me run my little iMovie intro.
Okay. Was that NCYF?
No, that was Ken Kelly.
Oh wow, that looks so good. That looks like a NCYF mixed with Frank Frazetta or something.
Well, he was Frazetta's son-in-law, and Frazetta sort of taught him how to paint. So there's the connection. Okay, the one I like to every once in a while show like videos that people make of actual creatures that we know exist, so that I can prove that it is possible to film something in focus. Okay, so this is an actual occurrence. I assume this is in Florida, but check this out.
Okay.
She's having a whoa! Look out!
Oh wow!
Look at that guy just kind of pushes the guy back in the water. Can you imagine if that thing came up in your boat? I would be.
I'd probably jump out of the boat. Yeah,
dude. I mean, wow. So I got to give this guy credit, man, for just handling the. But I'm going to play the sound so you can listen to this woman yelling. This is what it sounds like when someone actually is scared and they're shooting something that's real. Let's watch this again. Come on, there we go.
Found a very polite alligator.
That's how it would sound, definitely. It sounds exactly like that.
Exactly.
Wow.
So anyway, that's a real video. Now let's go take a look at some of our latest Bigfoot findings. Now this first one is just a still photo. Whenever I see still photos, I'm kind of like, there's probably a 99% chance that somebody actually did this in Photoshop or something. But let's take a look. As I push my 6 buttons. Okay, so this is, I think in Louisiana. So they're saying this is the skunk ape. Fur looks pretty good, but I'm guessing that this is probably a doctored photo. What is the? Let's see what the crowd here thinks. But no one ever. I mean, it's in focus, so at least I'll give them that, right?
Yeah. The face. What's up with the face? Is like
I can't really tell. I'm thinking this is his ear. And so this is his brow and his cheekbone right there, but we never get a good shot of it.
He's got one of those Jay Leno chins, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah, right there. It's right there. He's got the Jay Leno chin. Let's see. Jetto Jaga says that's Kelsey. Timmy Mello says too good to be true, likely a fake, and I agree. No, this says looks like a bear. I suppose that's a possibility. It's weird the positions that bears get into that people are like, oh, that can't be a bear. They'd never do that. But bears walk around on their hind legs. They do all sorts of weird stuff.
Yeah. No, I don't think so.
So it's either now see, Dave says real gorilla somewhere in Africa. Could be. because they never tell you where these pictures go. Oh, I got this on my trail cam. From where exactly? You know, you never get the Nomadidon saying Louisiana goat sloth. You know, I've never heard of that, but why not? Somebody wants to know where the fourth limb is. Well, if that's his,
Oh yeah.
but right back. No, that's his. Could that be the arm hanging down there? And the
No, that looks like his leg. I don't know.
yeah.
Well,
Well, I mean, it's just
now, how long ago was this photo sort of discovered?
now that I don't know. I just discovered it myself, but
Okay.
a lot of this stuff is like some of these things are like 20 years old and stuff. And you're like, I'm just
Okay.
finding them. So I don't know if this is like a brand new photo. Now check this out. This isn't Bigfoot.
Because somebody
All right.
could have prompted AI or something like that to create.
Well, that's my. Well, I'm sure that's normally what it is.
Yeah.
Okay, now check this out. This goes back to the old in focus thing, right? Now, allegedly, this guy caught this fishing. Okay.
Yeah.
And he's standing 3 feet away from it. He can't get it in focus. You kidding me? But anyway, let's take a look. I mean, what the heck is that?
Looks disgusting.
I know. It's like, oh, and here's the guy fishing. Look at how clear that shot is, but he can't get it. I mean, he's literally standing 5 feet away from this thing, and he can't get a clear shot of it.
Yeah, that's interesting.
That's
It looks
pretty freaking
like a mermaid, but
but a really tiny one or something.
Yeah, like a spider.
I mean, there's nothing alongside it to sort of get the. Since he says he caught it, so I'm assuming that it's like, 12 inches or something like that. So it can't be that big.
Yeah.
But the fact that he couldn't get it in focus lends me to believe that it's probably something pretty common, but out of focus, it looks really freaking weird.
Yeah. For him to be fishing, and it looks like a movie, like Steven Spielberg or stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. And it's
and then the next shot is very blurry.
Yep.
As if it was, where you go found footage step. It's like,
yeah, exactly. Dude, you can't. And it's like, it's not running away. So he could have like looked at his phone and said, okay, that's blurry. I'll shoot it again. It's not like he was running away or anything, but it is pretty, even blurry. It's pretty freaking weird looking. I don't know what.
Yeah.
Is it like maybe a big shrimp or something? I don't know.
I'm not sure.
We got all these guys. You guys are so North American trouser trout. No, I don't think that's what that is. The nocturnal cricket snake. You're making stuff up. Let's see. Luis Velez dropping in. Hey, Aaron. Hi, Comic Skate. Hey, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. Says it almost looks like he's dragging a lure. You know what? That's not a bad idea. That might be exactly what it is. Either that or a sea monkey. But if that was a lure and he was like turning it and twisting it, that could be like a wet lure. And that's why it's out of focus, because he doesn't want us to actually see that it's.
But yeah, it looks like a spider from the front, but a mermaid from the back.
Yeah,
like almost like an embryonic version of a mermaid or something.
Yes,
that's how they look when they're like firstborn.
So, dude, you see you're creating a whole new line of cryptids here. The spider mermaid embryo.
Yeah.
Wow. Citizen Ronan says it looks like crap. That's for sure. NPC Oasis looks like a salamander eating and carrying an insect. That could be too.
Oh yeah, definitely.
All sorts of good stuff here. Okay, now we're going to get into the really. I'd like to say good stuff, but I don't know that I really have any good stuff. But
good stuff, great stuff.
It's a little bit more. Not quite. The focus on this guy is okay, but let's see what they turn and see with the camera here. There is a guy walking.
Oh.
Yeah.
Could be Christopher walking. Hey, what are you doing? Why are you taking a picture?
Now, see, allegedly they filmed this, they saw this, and then they, of course, like they took off running, so we don't get like a better shot. But
they never get a clear picture of Bigfoot for some reason.
Oh, looks like probably a guy in a furry suit, but
yeah, I think it is.
Because I don't think these guys are all that agitated. I mean, I would, if I actually saw something like that, it might be freaking out a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, like, and there's definitely zoom on cameras these days. I don't know how long ago this video was taken, but that whatever he's filming that with looks like it was made in the 83. You know,
exactly. Yeah, if you filmed it 2 years ago and it looks like it was filmed in 1983, you're doing something wrong here.
Yeah, what are you using to film this shot? You know, but no.
Well, I've seen videos. There's a great one I show. It's called the Gable film, and I've showed it on here a couple times. And it's this guy basically put on a ghillie suit, which is those nets with the leaves and crap on them for hunting.
Yeah.
And kind of ran like a dog towards the camera. And the whole thing was a hoax. And he did this whole thing where this guy got attacked by this thing. And then they shot a second video where there was like the remains of the people laying around, and then the whole thing, he later admitted it was a joke, but they showed this on this lengthy video I watched on it. They showed what his footage actually looked like when he shot it. And it was crystal clear. You could tell it was a guy in a ghillie, but then what they did was they went in, used a program to shake it and blur it so that it didn't, that they could hide the fact that it actually looked so crappy.
Yeah.
So
some of the crappier pictures definitely is more convincing.
Right. Well, especially if you're faking it.
Yeah.
You got to make it look crappy so you can't tell how bad the costume is.
Yeah. One of my favorite movies was Cloverfield.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I don't know if you've seen that.
Oh yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah. And they just, even though it made no sense, it's like this guy is carrying a camera all the way through the catastrophes is
right.
Place. The fact that it looked like, a real camera, which they got kind of from Blair Witch Project,
mm-hmm.
I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I always thought it was funny on those, though. They're running for their lives down the subway tracks. Yeah. They're being chased by these monsters, and he's still filming.
Yeah, like, put the camera down, bro. It's like none of your friends going to tell you to put the camera down. Come on.
Yeah,
I would have broken
your life. Okay, here we go. Now this isn't great either, but the last image of this creature or whatever, this guy in a suit, is interesting because look how long his arm is when he reaches out here. Watch this at the end.
Oh yeah,
we'll get there. You can't really. I mean, it's pretty crappy, but okay. So right here, that I don't know. It kind of looks a little bit monkeyish to me.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Again, I don't know what where this was filmed or what it is, but
yeah,
he's also walking pretty carefully though for a like a guy who's trying not to trip in the woods instead of an animal that lives out there. But
there's a It looks primitive. It looks like a real ape or something like that, or ape related,
but it's still grotesquely blurry, so they know they're hiding something.
Yeah.
But I did think that arm right there was interesting on how long it was.
I mean, there are tons of what do you call it, primates that have extremely long, like was that orangutan?
Yeah.
Yeah. But that, of course, that's not one. That's fully black. That's jet black. It looks like, but it's got sort of in terms of his extremities, very long, elongated, but the body shape is very sort of like a gorilla in some ways.
Right.
And I don't know what the face looks like.
Yeah, we can barely. I mean, the face is right here, but we can't see anything. So it could be just a guy with a suit on and extenders in his arm or something to make his arms look longer. I don't know. You would think that, these people would have something better to do than fake videos. But
Yeah.
you know, the amount of attention you can get on social media now, and people just long for that attention, that
Yeah.
I can see them going out and, you know, getting a suit and going and taking the trouble to make a video and then making it blurry so that people can't really tell if it's fake or not.
Yeah.
All right, here's our last one. I don't know if this, I can't even remember what this one is, but I must have picked it for a reason. I don't know if that means it's good or not, but oh, this is the dog man, or they're not sure. Is this the dog man or is this just a gorilla or a monkey? Let's see here.
Okay.
Now watch when it moves. It moves kind of like, actually, to me, it looks like a dude, but it moves like it could be a monkey, a gorilla moving like a chimp or something, right? Like that might be a safari video that someone's claiming is Bigfoot or the dog man in Wisconsin or whatever. Or it could be a dude in a suit, you know?
Yeah. And where was this filmed?
Undisclosed location.
Oh, okay. Because if it was in an area where there's primates, then that wouldn't be so unusual. Huh? It looks almost like a baby gorilla or something.
Yeah, that's what it kind of looks like. Or it could be a guy emulating. I mean, the way he's hunched his butt up in the air makes me think it might be a dude trying to pretend to be a gorilla. But the hind legs look awfully short. So that's the one thing I'm thinking. Maybe it's legit, but it's like taken off a wildlife preserve someplace, and they're just trying to pass it off as a Bigfoot video.
Yeah. Why is the film so blurry, mature?
That's the thing. He's close enough to this thing that we should be getting a clear shot, and we're not.
Hey,
so
this is like something from 78.
Except it was filmed yesterday.
Remastered, little hoax video.
That's right. Well, see, this is what you animators do, man. You go in there, you get the video from some gorilla, and you make it into a Sasquatch video in your free time, right? Because you know how to get all these programs, can do all this cool stuff.
Not just in free time. We have to purposefully put some of this stuff in animated content.
That's
for the
true.
Kids, you know? Yeah.
I keep thinking that Shelley and I are going to go out and film one of these, and I'm going to make it as believable as any of this garbage. But so I don't know. I think successfully we can say that once again, I have not found Bigfoot, but they're out there. They keep trying. Citizen Ronan says,
I think I've seen a couple of aliens, in my neighborhood. I think they live in the smaller towns majority of the time.
Yep. Citizen Ron says, if it were a chimp, it would throw its poop. So there you go. Butt way up. Butt way up equals dude. I'm not sure what give me a hard time for saying his butt was way up in the air, but it was. Okay. Anyway, all right, everybody. That's going to about wrap it up for this week's version of Aaron Live. I want to thank my guest, Koran Kaiser Stone, animator, designer extraordinaire.
Woo!
And I want you guys to remember he's his own biggest fan, ladies and gentlemen. No. I want you guys to remember that he's got his art book on Fund My Comic. You'll find the link to that campaign in the description of this video. You'll also find the link to my campaign, Wraith of God Blood Hunters, in the description of this video. We would both greatly appreciate it if you'd take some time to go check those campaigns out if you haven't done so already. And back them, especially Kaiser. I already put down for that hardcover. I want that book. So you guys, we got to get him past that $3,000 mark so I can get that book from him. And we're almost there. So guys, go check it out. You're not going to regret it. Guy's a tremendous artist and a fun-loving guy. And we will be seeing him again soon, probably on the professionals. So keep your eyes open. Again, Kaiser, thanks for joining me, man. I appreciate it. I want to thank everybody in the chat for joining us. We couldn't do it without your participation and helping us out. Have a good time on the show. Everybody enjoy the rest of your Sunday evening, and we will see you guys all next time.
See you guys.